When Adrian Vance walked into Lena Carter's shabby apartment at 11:58 p.m. on New Year's Eve, he wasn't supposed to be there. He was supposed to be at the plaza, drinking champagne worth more than her rent. But there he stood, coat damp from snow, tie loosened, looking at her like she was the only person in all of New York City. In 2 minutes, everything would change. In 2 minutes, the woman who'd spent 3 years loving him in silence would have to decide if she was brave enough to let him in. Drop a like and comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. Lena Carter had perfected the art of being invisible. It wasn't something she'd set out to master. It just happened, slowly, quietly, the way most important things in her life did. At 29, she'd become the kind of person people's eyes slid past in crowded rooms. Average height, brown hair that never did anything interesting. A face that was pleasant enough but forgettable. She wore neutral colors, spoke softly when she spoke at all, and had learned to navigate the world by taking up as little space as possible. Her studio apartment in Washington Heights reflected this philosophy perfectly. Small, neat, generic. The furniture came from IKEA clearance sales. The art on the walls, if you could call it that, consisted of 3 framed prints she'd bought at Target 5 years ago. The only thing that made the space distinctly hers was the collection of romance novels crammed into a bookshelf by the window, their spines cracked and covers worn from repeated readings. On New Year's Eve, while the rest of Manhattan prepared for glittering parties and midnight kisses, Lena sat cross-legged on her secondhand couch in flannel pajamas, eating Chinese takeout straight from the container. Her phone buzzed. A text from her sister Rachel, who lived in Portland with a husband, 2 kids, and a golden retriever named Captain. Happy New Year. Sending you love from our party. Wish you were here. Below the message was a photo of Rachel's living room packed with people, everyone holding champagne flutes, everyone laughing. Rachel wore a sparkly dress. Her husband had his arm around her waist. Lena typed back, "Looks amazing. Happy New Year." She didn't mention that she'd turned down Rachel's invitation to visit for the holidays. Didn't mention that the thought of spending a week watching her sister's perfect life up close made something in her chest feel tight and wrong. She set the phone down and returned her attention to the TV, where When Harry Met Sally was playing. She'd seen it maybe 40 times. Could recite half the dialogue from memory. There was something comforting about the predictability of it, the way you always knew Harry and Sally would end up together, even when they were fighting or pretending they were just friends. People like that got happy endings. People who were witty and charming and interesting. People like Lena just watched. Her phone buzzed again. She assumed it was Rachel sending another photo, but when she picked it up, her stomach did a small, involuntary flip. Adrian Vance. She stared at the name for a long moment before opening the message. Still working? Lena blinked at the screen. It was 9:47 p.m. on New Year's Eve. She'd left the office at 6, same as always. Adrian knew that. She'd said goodnight to him on her way out, though he'd barely glanced up from his desk. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. This wasn't normal. Adrian didn't text her after hours unless it was genuinely urgent, and even then, his messages were usually efficient and businesslike. Need the Thompson files first thing tomorrow or reschedule my 2 p.m.? She typed, "No, I'm home. Do you need something?" The response came quickly, "Just checking." Lena frowned at her phone. That wasn't like him at all. "Are you okay?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, define okay. She sat up straighter, pulling her knees to her chest. On the TV, Harry and Sally were having their big fight at the New Year's party, but Lena wasn't paying attention anymore. "Where are you?" she typed. "Benefit Gala. Plaza Hotel." That sounds fancy. It's hell. Despite everything, Lena smiled. She could picture it perfectly. Adrian in a tuxedo, surrounded by Manhattan's elite, hating every second of it. He'd gone to the event because his company was a major sponsor, because it was expected, because Adrian Vance did what was expected even when it made him miserable. Why is it hell? Because everyone here is drunk and fake, and I've had the same conversation 17 times. What conversation? How's business? Great, how's yours? Great. Then we stand there for 30 seconds pretending we have anything else to say to each other. Lena found herself grinning at her phone now, something warm unfurling in her chest. "So leave," she typed. "Can't. Expected to stay until midnight. That's 2 hours away." "I know. I'm counting." She shouldn't keep texting him. This was weird, right? In 3 years of working as Adrian's assistant, they'd never had a conversation like this. Professional emails, brief exchanges about schedules and meetings. That was it. But she couldn't seem to stop. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Eating lo mein in my pajamas and watching a movie. That sounds significantly better than where I am. No champagne, though. I'd trade every glass of champagne in this room for lo mein and pajamas." Lena's heart was doing something strange in her chest, something that felt dangerous. "What movie?" he asked. "When Harry Met Sally." "How many times have you seen it?" She considered lying, then decided there wasn't much point. "Maybe 40. 40? It's a good movie. It's a good movie, or you don't like being alone on New Year's Eve." Lena stared at the message. The warm feeling in her chest shifted into something else, something that hurt. "Both," she typed before she could stop herself. For a long moment, there was no response. Lena immediately regretted her honesty. This was her boss. Her brilliant, unreachable, devastatingly complicated boss. She shouldn't have said that, should have kept it light. Then her phone buzzed. "Yeah, me too." Lena's breath caught. "You're at a party with 300 people. Doesn't matter, still alone." She didn't know what to say to that, didn't know what to do with the sudden, overwhelming intimacy of it. This wasn't who they were to each other. Adrian was her boss, demanding, focused, perpetually distracted by whatever project currently consumed his attention. She was his assistant, efficient, invisible, grateful for the job even when he forgot to say thank you. Except right now, in these strange, fragile messages, they were something else entirely. "I should let you get back to your party," she typed. "Please don't." 2 words. That was all it took to completely upend her entire evening. "Okay," she sent. "Tell me about your apartment." "What about it?" "What's it like?" "I've never asked." "It's small. 1 room, basically, but it has a window that faces east, so I get good morning light." "What can you see from the window?" "Other buildings, mostly, but if I lean out far enough, I can see a sliver of the park." "Do you lean out far enough?" "Sometimes." "What else?" "There's a bookshelf by the window. Too many books. Not enough shelf. They're starting to pile on the floor." "What kind of books?" Lena hesitated. This felt like dangerous territory. "Romance novels," she admitted. "Happy endings. Always." "Do you believe in them?" "Happy endings?" Lena looked around her small apartment, at the secondhand furniture and the too quiet space and the life she'd built that felt safe but never quite full. "I think some people get them," she typed. "But not you? I'm still waiting for my story to start." She hit send before she could reconsider, then immediately wanted to take it back. That was too much, too honest. She'd revealed something she hadn't even fully admitted to herself, that she'd been in some kind of holding pattern for years, waiting for her real life to begin. "What if it already has?" Adrian wrote back. "What do you mean? What if your story started 3 years ago and you just didn't notice?" Lena's hands were shaking now. She knew what he was implying, knew and couldn't quite let herself believe it. "Adrian, I need to tell you something." Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. "Okay." But instead of typing, her phone started ringing. Adrian's name lit up the screen. She answered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Hello?" "I couldn't text it," he said. His voice sounded different than it did in the office, rougher, less controlled. "I needed to say it out loud." "Say what?" "That I think about you constantly, that I have for months, that I sat in that ballroom tonight surrounded by people I'm supposed to impress, and all I could think about was that you were alone in your apartment watching a movie you've seen 40 times. Lena couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what was happening. "I know I'm your boss," Adrian continued, words tumbling out now like he couldn't stop them. "I know that makes this complicated. I know I should have kept my mouth shut. But it's New Year's Eve and I'm so tired of pretending I don't feel this way." "Feel what way?" Her voice cracked. "Like you're the only real thing in my life. Like every conversation we have in the office is the best part of my day. Like I memorized your coffee order and your schedule and the way you do this little thing where you bite your lip when you're concentrating." "You notice that?" "I notice everything about you, Lena." She was crying now, tears sliding down her cheeks, and she didn't even know why exactly. Relief, maybe? Or fear? Or the sudden overwhelming realization that she wasn't invisible after all, not to him. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "You don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know." "Where are you right now?" "Coat closet on the 3rd floor. I told someone I needed to make a business call." Despite everything, Lena laughed. The sound came out watery and strange. "You're hiding in a coat closet?" Apparently, I'm not great at this whole confession thing. "I think about you too," she said suddenly, the words rushing out. "All the time. I have for 3 years. Since my first day, actually. You were in a terrible mood because your previous assistant had quit without notice, and you kept apologizing for being short with me, and I thought you were the most interesting person I'd ever met. Interesting is a generous word. I thought you were complicated and brilliant and so far beyond me that there wasn't any point in even hoping." "Beyond you?" Adrian's voice was incredulous. "Lena, you're the person who remembers my nephew's birthday and fixes my schedule when I double book myself and somehow knows when I need coffee before I know it myself. You make my life make sense. How is that beyond you? Because you're Adrian Vance, and I'm just—" "Don't," he cut her off. "Don't finish that sentence." They were both quiet for a moment. Lena could hear noise in the background on his end, music, laughter, the distant sound of someone giving a speech. "What happens now?" she asked. "I don't know. This is new territory for me." "Me too. I should probably go back to the party before someone notices I'm gone." "Right, of course. But Lena?" "Yeah? Can I see you tomorrow? Not at the office, just as us?" "Yes, I'd really like that." "Okay." She could hear the smile in his voice. "Get some sleep." "You too." She hung up and sat there on her couch, phone still clutched in her hand, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Her fortune cookie from dinner sat unopened on the coffee table. She cracked it absently, pulling out the little slip of paper. "Your dreams are closer than you think." Lena laughed, actually laughed, and was about to toss the fortune aside when her phone buzzed again. Another text from Adrian. "Actually, forget tomorrow. I can't wait that long." "What? What's your address?" Her pulse jumped. "Why?" "Because I'm leaving right now." "You're leaving the gala?" "Lena, I've been at this party for 3 hours. I've done my duty. And I just realized that the only place I want to be at midnight is with you. Are you serious? What's your address?" Her hands were shaking again as she typed out her address. This was insane. This was her boss. This was Adrian Vance leaving a major company event to come to her apartment in Washington Heights at 10:30 p.m. on New Year's Eve. "I'll be there in 20 minutes, he sent. "Okay." "Lena?" "Yeah?" "Don't change out of the pajamas." She looked down at her flannel pants and oversized NYU sweatshirt, a relic from her brief semester of graduate school before she dropped out for financial reasons. "Why not?" "Because I want to see you exactly as you are." Lena set down her phone and looked around her apartment with fresh eyes. It was small and shabby and nothing special, but suddenly that didn't matter. Adrian was coming here. In 20 minutes. To see her. Not his assistant, just her. She jumped up and did a frantic speed clean, clearing the takeout containers, fluffing the couch pillows, lighting the one candle she owned that didn't smell weird. She caught sight of herself in the bathroom mirror and tried to fix her hair, which had been in a messy bun all evening, then stopped. "Exactly as you are." She left the bun, splashed some water on her face to wash away the tear tracks, put on deodorant. That seemed reasonable. At 10:47, her intercom buzzed. Lena's heart stopped. She stood frozen in the middle of her apartment for a solid 5 seconds before her legs remembered how to work. She crossed to the intercom and pressed the button. "Hello?" "It's me." His voice coming through the old, crackling speaker shouldn't have sounded good, but somehow it did. She buzzed him up without saying anything, then opened her apartment door and waited in the hallway. The building was old, the kind where you could hear every footstep echoing up the stairwell. She listened to Adrian climb 4 flights, his pace steady and determined. Then he appeared at the top of the stairs. He was still in his tuxedo, though his bow tie hung loose around his neck, and his hair looked like he'd been running his hands through it. When their eyes met, they both just stood there for a moment. "Hi," Adrian said. "Hi." "Can I come in?" Lena stepped aside and he walked past her into the apartment. She closed the door and turned to find him standing in the middle of her small space, looking around with an expression she couldn't quite read. "It's not much," she said. "It's you." He turned to face her. "That makes it perfect." Neither of them moved. The air between them felt electric, charged with everything they'd said on the phone and everything they hadn't. "I can't believe you're here," Lena said. "I can't believe I waited this long." "Adrian, what are we doing? Tomorrow we have to go back to work, and we'll figure it out." "How? I don't know. But I know I'm done pretending. I've spent 3 years pretending you're just my assistant, pretending I don't look for you the second I walk into the office, pretending I don't find excuses to call you into my office just to have you near me." He took a step closer. "I'm done pretending, Lena." She couldn't breathe. "I've spent 3 years pretending I don't love working late because it means more time around you, pretending my heart doesn't race every time you say my name, pretending I'm fine being invisible. You've never been invisible. Not to me." He was close enough now that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtle that she'd caught hints of 100 times in the office, but never this close, never this overwhelming. "What time is it?" she asked. Adrian checked his watch. 11:56. 4 minutes? Until? Until the new year. "Lena." He said her name like a question. "Yeah? Can I kiss you at midnight?" Her breath caught. "You came all the way here just to ask me that?" "I came all the way here because the thought of starting another year without you knowing how I feel was unbearable." He reached up and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her cheek. "But yes, I'd really like to kiss you at midnight." "Then yes." They stood there, inches apart, watching each other as the seconds ticked by. Lena could hear fireworks starting to pop in the distance. Could hear the TV in her apartment still playing when Harry met Sally. They were at the New Year's party scene now, Harry running through the streets to find Sally. 3 minutes, Adrian said softly. "Are you nervous?" Lena asked. "Terrified." "Me too." "Good. I'd be worried if you weren't." Outside, more fireworks. Someone in another apartment was playing music. The whole city was winding up for the moment when 1 year became another. 2 minutes, Adrian said. "I need to tell you something," Lena said suddenly. "Okay." "I'm not exciting. My life is small and quiet and boring. I don't go to parties or galas. I don't know how to navigate your world. I'm just me. Just you is all I want." "But what if—" "Lena." He cupped her face in both hands. "I've spent my entire life in that world. The parties and the galas and the people who say all the right things but mean none of them. I'm so tired of it. And then I come to work and you're there, and you're real. You're honest and kind, and you give a damn about things that actually matter. You make me feel like I can breathe." His thumbs brushed across her cheekbones. "So please don't tell me you're just you, like that's not everything I've been looking for." Tears were sliding down her face again. Happy tears this time. 1 minute, he whispered. In the background, Lena could hear the TV, the countdown at the Janus party, Harry and Sally finding each other in the crowd. 30 seconds, Adrian said. Lena's heart was hammering. This was real. This was actually happening. 10 seconds. Outside, the city was erupting. Fireworks and horns and 1,000 people shouting. 5. Adrian's forehead touched hers. 4. His hands were still cradling her face. 3. Lena's hands found his chest, fingers curling into his shirt. 2. Their breath mingled between them. 1. "Happy New Year, Lena," Adrian whispered, and then he kissed her. It wasn't tentative or uncertain. It was urgent and deep. 3 years of wanting poured into a single moment. Lena made a small sound against his mouth, and Adrian pulled her closer, one hand sliding into her hair, the other wrapping around her waist. She'd imagined this moment so many times, in the quiet of her apartment, in stolen glances across the office. But the reality of it was nothing like her imagination. The way he kissed her was hungry and reverent at once, like he was trying to memorize the taste of her. The way his hands shook slightly as they held her. The small, desperate sound he made when she kissed him back just as fiercely. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Adrian rested his forehead against hers again. "I've wanted to do that for so long," he said. How long? Remember last March when you brought me coffee after that disaster of a board meeting and you said something about how everyone has bad days and it didn't mean I was failing? I remember. I wanted to kiss you then, right there in my office. You looked at me like I was a person instead of just a CEO having a breakdown, and I thought, I'm in trouble. Why didn't you say anything? Because you worked for me. Because the power dynamic made it complicated. Because I was scared. He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. But I'm not scared anymore. Or I am, but I'm doing it anyway. Adrian, tomorrow we have to figure out. We will. I promise we will. But tonight, can we just be here? Can we just be two people who finally stopped pretending? Lena nodded. Yeah, we can do that. He kissed her again, softer this time. When he pulled back, he was smiling, really smiling. Not the polite corporate smile he wore in meetings, but something genuine and unguarded. I like your apartment, he said. Liar. I'm serious. It feels like you. Comfortable and warm and real. It's tiny. I have a penthouse in Midtown that costs me more money than I want to think about, and it's the coldest, loneliest place I've ever lived. He looked around again, taking in the worn couch and the overflowing bookshelf and the single flickering candle. This is better, Lena laughed. You're really bad at lying. I'm not lying. Watch. He walked over to the bookshelf and started reading titles. Pride and Prejudice, Outlander, The Hating Game. You really do like romance novels. I told you I did. Have you read all of these? Most of them at least twice. He pulled out a battered copy of Pride and Prejudice, its spine held together with tape. This one looks well loved. It's my favorite. I've probably read it 10 times. What do you love about it? Lena hesitated. This felt vulnerable in a different way than everything else that had happened tonight. Elizabeth doesn't change who she is for Darcy. He has to learn to see her clearly, to value her for exactly who she is, not who he thinks she should be. Adrian set the book down carefully and turned to face her. Is that what you think? That I'd want you to change? I don't know. Your life is so different from mine. The people you know, the places you go. Lena, I spent tonight at a party with Manhattan's wealthiest people, and the most interesting conversation I had was with a waiter who's trying to break into stand-up comedy. That's my life. Expensive and hollow. He crossed back to her, taking her hands. You think I'd want you to change? You're the only thing that makes sense. I don't fit in your world. Then we'll make a new world, one that fits both of us. That sounds nice in theory, but nothing. I'm serious, Lena. I don't care about any of it. The society pages and the networking and the image management. I'll quit if I have to. You're not quitting. You built that company from nothing. It doesn't mean anything if I'm miserable doing it. Adrian, I mean it. You think I care more about the business than I care about this? About us? The weight of those words settled over them. Us. They were an us now. What happens on Monday? Lena asked quietly. We tell HR. We make everything official and above board. And then we figure out the rest. People will talk. Let them. They'll say I slept my way into my job. Anyone who's worked with you for 5 minutes knows that's bullshit. Adrian, be serious. This is your reputation. I am being serious. My reputation means nothing compared to you. He pulled her closer. We'll handle it. Together. Okay? Lena wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that this fragile, perfect thing between them could survive the harsh light of reality. But years of being invisible had taught her to be cautious, to expect disappointment. Hey! Adrian tilted her chin up until she met his eyes. Where'd you go? I'm scared, she admitted. I'm scared that on Monday you'll realize this was a mistake, that I'm not worth the complication. Lena Carter, you're worth every complication, every difficult conversation, every gossip column, an HR meeting, an awkward office moment. You're worth all of it and more. How can you be so sure? Because I've never been more sure of anything in my life. He kissed her forehead. And because you're looking at me like you can't quite believe I'm real, and I want to spend the next however long proving that I am. Despite her fears, Lena smiled. However long, I'm trying to take this one day at a time, don't want to scare you off. I think it's a little late for that. Is it? He looked genuinely worried. Are you scared off? No. Terrified, yes, but not scared off. Good, because I'm not going anywhere. They stood there in the middle of her small apartment, holding each other while fireworks continued to explode outside, and the TV played out its happy ending in the background. Lena felt like her entire life had tilted on its axis. Everything familiar, suddenly strange and new and full of possibility. "Are you hungry?" she asked suddenly. "I have leftover lo mein." Adrian laughed, actually laughed, the sound surprised and genuine. "You're offering me cold Chinese food at 12:30 a.m. Welcome to my glamorous life. I'd love some cold Chinese food." They sat on her couch and shared the container of lo mein, passing it back and forth, their knees touching. Adrian had taken off his tuxedo jacket and rolled up his shirt sleeves, and somehow that made everything feel more real. Like they weren't a CEO and his assistant, but just two people eating takeout on New Year's. "Tell me something I don't know about you," Adrian said. "Like what?" "Anything. Something you've never told anyone at work." Lena thought about it. "I dropped out of grad school after one semester." "For NYU, the sweatshirt you're wearing?" "Yeah, I was getting my master's in English literature. Had this whole plan to teach and write and live this intellectual life." She stabbed a noodle with her fork. "Then my dad got sick and I needed money fast, and student loans don't pay medical bills." "I'm sorry." "It's fine. He's okay now. But by the time he was better, I was working for you and grad school felt like someone else's dream." "Do you regret it?" "Sometimes. Not because I don't like my job, but because I wonder who I would have been if things had gone differently." Adrian was quiet for a moment. "I dropped out of college." Lena's head snapped up. "What?" "But your bio says that I graduated from Columbia." "I know. It's not technically a lie. I did graduate, but I dropped out sophomore year to start the company, then went back and finished my degree 6 years later when I could afford to hire someone to run things for a semester." "I didn't know that." "No one does. I'm not ashamed of it, but it doesn't exactly fit the narrative people expect." "What narrative?" "The Wunderkind CEO who had it all figured out from the start. The truth is messier than that. I spent my early 20s terrified I'd fail, working 18-hour days, eating ramen because I was reinvesting everything into the business." He smiled wryly, not exactly the polished origin story the PR team likes to tell. "I like the messy version better." "Yeah? Yeah, it means you're human." "I'm extremely human, Lena. I just hide it well." They finished the lo mein, and Adrian insisted on washing the container and putting it in her recycling. Lena watched him move around her tiny kitchen like he belonged there, and something in her chest felt so full it almost hurt. When he came back to the couch, he pulled her against his side, and she curled into him like it was the most natural thing in the world. "I should probably go home," Adrian said, but he made no move to leave. "Probably. It's late." "It is. And we both need sleep." "We do." Neither of them moved. On the TV, the credits were rolling on When Harry Met Sally. Outside, the fireworks had finally stopped. "Lena?" "Hmm?" "Can I take you to breakfast tomorrow?" "Late breakfast. Actual breakfast. Not cold takeout." "Are you asking me on a date?" "I'm asking you on the first of many dates, if you'll let me." "Then yes." He kissed the top of her head. "What time should I pick you up?" "Is 11 too late?" 11 is perfect." They stayed like that for another hour, talking about nothing and everything. Adrian told her about the family business he'd grown up watching his father struggle with and eventually lose. Lena told him about her sister's perfect life and how hard it was to feel happy for her and jealous of her at the same time. They talked about books and childhood dreams and the strange loneliness of living in a city full of millions of people. Finally, reluctantly, Adrian stood to leave. At the door, he kissed her one more time, slow and sweet and full of promise. "Happy New Year, Lena," he said again. "Happy New Year." She watched him descend the stairs, listened to his footsteps fade, and then closed the door and leaned against it. Her phone buzzed, a text from Adrian. "I'm already counting down the hours until I see you again." Lena smiled and typed back, "Me too. Get some sleep. You too." "Lena?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for letting me in." She looked around her small apartment, at the empty lo mein container waiting to be washed, at the couch that still held the impression of where they'd sat, at the candle burned down to nothing. "Thank you for showing up," she sent back. She got ready for bed in a daze, brushing her teeth and washing her face and climbing under the covers. But sleep wouldn't come. Her mind kept replaying the entire night. The text, the phone call, the moment Adrian appeared in her doorway, the kiss at midnight. For 3 years, Lena had been invisible, had convinced herself that people like her didn't get moments like this. But she'd been wrong. Around 3 in the morning, her phone buzzed one more time. Still awake? Yeah. Me too. Can't stop thinking about you. What are you thinking? That I've wasted 3 years? That I should have done this the day you walked into my office, wearing that blue dress and looking terrified? I was terrified. You were so intimidating. And now? Still intimidating, but in a different way. Is that good? Yes. Very good. Lena? Yeah? I'm really glad you were alone tonight. Me too. Sleep. I'll see you in a few hours. Good night, Adrian. Good night. Lena set down her phone and stared at the ceiling, a smile playing at her lips. Outside her window, New York City hummed with its endless energy. Somewhere out there, Adrian was in his expensive, lonely penthouse, probably staring at his own ceiling. But tomorrow, later today, technically, they'd have breakfast together. And after that, they'd figure out Monday. And after that, whatever came next. For the first time in longer than she could remember, Lena fell asleep not waiting for her life to begin, but living right in the middle of it. Lena woke at 9 to sunlight streaming through her window and 3 texts from Adrian, the first sent at 6:47 a.m. Morning. Did you sleep? The second at 7:23. I'm being pathetic, aren't I? Texting you before you're even awake. The third at 8:15. Ignore the previous text. See you at 11. She sat up in bed, hair a mess, and typed back, not pathetic. I like waking up to your messages. Her phone rang immediately. You're awake, Adrian said, and she could hear the smile in his voice. Barely. I can call back later. No, this is good. I like this. There was a pause, comfortable and warm. I keep thinking I dreamed last night. Me too. But I didn't, right? I really showed up at your apartment at midnight and kissed you? You really did. Okay, good. Just checking. He sounded nervous, which was so unlike the Adrian she knew from the office that it made her chest ache. Are you having second thoughts? Are you? Not even a little bit. But I'd understand if you were. Lena pulled her knees to her chest, phone pressed to her ear. I'm not having second thoughts. I'm having about 1,000 anxious thoughts about Monday, but none of them are about wanting to take back last night. We'll handle Monday. You keep saying that. Because I mean it. Lena, I've already called Margaret in HR. You what? This morning. Left her a voicemail that we need to meet first thing Monday to discuss a workplace relationship disclosure. Adrian, it's New Year's Day. She's probably not checking messages. Then she'll get it tomorrow. Point is, we're doing this right. Above board, by the book, no room for anyone to claim impropriety. Lena's throat felt tight. He was serious. He'd actually called HR. What did the message say exactly? That I need to formally disclose a personal relationship with an employee and discuss appropriate protocols going forward. You didn't say my name? No, that's a conversation for Monday, in person, with both of us there, if you're comfortable with that. I don't know if comfortable is the right word. Willing? Yeah, I'm willing. That's all I need. She heard movement on his end, like he was pacing. I'm nervous about today. Breakfast? Yeah, is that stupid? We've had coffee together 100 times. This is different. Very different. More pacing sounds. What if I'm boring? What if we run out of things to talk about and you realize I'm actually terrible at dates? Lena laughed despite her own nerves. Adrian, we talked until 3 in the morning. I don't think we're going to run out of things to say. That was on the phone. Face-to-face is different. What if I do that thing where I accidentally talk about work the whole time? Then I'll tell you to stop. Promise? Promise. Okay. He took a breath. I should let you get ready. What should I wear? Whatever makes you comfortable. Jeans are fine. We're not going anywhere fancy. Where are we going? It's a surprise. I don't like surprises. You'll like this one. After they hung up, Lena stood in front of her closet for 20 minutes, trying on and discarding half her wardrobe. Everything felt wrong. Too casual or too formal or too much like she was trying too hard. Finally, she settled on dark jeans and a cream sweater that her sister had sent her for Christmas last year. Simple. Normal. Not like she'd spent an hour agonizing over it. She was putting on mascara when her phone buzzed with a call from Rachel. Lena considered ignoring it, but her sister would just keep calling. "Hey," she answered. "Happy New Year. How was your night?" "It was good. Quiet." "Did you at least watch the ball drop?" "I did." Lena hesitated, mascara wand still in hand. She wanted to tell Rachel everything about Adrian, about the kiss, about how her entire life had changed in the span of a few hours. But saying it out loud felt dangerous, like it might shatter if she examined it too closely. "You sound weird," Rachel said. "Did something happen?" "No, just tired." "Well, I won't keep you. Just wanted to say hi and send some sisterly love." "Thanks, Rach. Love you." "Love you too." After she hung up, Lena stared at herself in the mirror. Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes bright. She looked different, felt different, like something fundamental had shifted. At 10:55, she went downstairs to wait. Adrian had said he'd pick her up at 11, and she didn't want him to have to buzz up and navigate the whole intercom situation again. He pulled up at 11:02 in a sleek black car that probably cost more than her annual salary. When he got out, wearing dark jeans and a gray sweater under a wool coat, Lena's stomach did a flip. "Hi," he said. "Hi." They stood there on the sidewalk for a moment, suddenly awkward in the daylight. Last night had felt like a dream, separate from reality. But this was real. Adrian standing in front of her building at midday while her neighbors walked past with groceries and dogs and judgmental looks. "You look beautiful," Adrian said. "You look different without the tuxedo." "Better or worse?" "Different. Good different." He smiled and opened the passenger door for her. The inside of the car smelled like leather and that subtle cologne he wore. There was a coffee cup in the holder between the seats. "Is that for me?" Lena asked. "Vanilla latte, 1 sugar." "You remembered." "I told you. I notice everything." They drove through Manhattan in comfortable silence, the city slowly waking up from its New Year's celebrations. Adrian's hand rested on the gear shift, and Lena found herself staring at it, wondering if she should reach for it or if that would be weird. "You're thinking very loudly over there," Adrian said. "Sorry." "Don't be sorry. Just tell me what you're thinking." "I'm thinking I don't know the rules, like, are we at the hand-holding stage, or is that too much for a first date?" Adrian glanced at her, then reached over and took her hand, lacing their fingers together. "Does this answer your question?" "Yeah." "For the record, there are no rules. We figure this out as we go." "I'm not good at figuring things out as I go. I like having a plan." "Then we'll make a plan. Rule 1. We're honest with each other, even when it's uncomfortable." "Okay." Rule 2. If something feels wrong, we talk about it instead of letting it fester. "That seems reasonable." Rule 3. You have to tell me if I'm being an idiot. Lena laughed. "That's a rule?" "Absolutely. I get focused on things and lose perspective. I need you to call me out." "I already do that at work." "Exactly. Don't stop just because we're dating." Dating. The word sent a thrill through her. They were dating. They drove north out of Manhattan and into the Bronx, then farther into Westchester County. The buildings grew sparser, replaced by trees still bare from winter. "Where are we going?" Lena asked. "Patience. I told you I don't like surprises. You'll like this one." After about 40 minutes, Adrian turned onto a narrow road that wound through woods. At the end was a small diner that looked like it had been there since the 1950s. Chrome exterior, red vinyl booths visible through the windows, a neon sign that said Millie's. "A diner," Lena said. "Not just any diner, the best diner in New York, according to my very strong opinion." "How did you find this place?" "I'll tell you inside." The diner was nearly empty, just an elderly couple in one booth and a waitress who looked up when they entered. "Adrian," she called out. "Haven't seen you in months. It's—" "Hey, Donna. Been busy." "Too busy for Millie's? That's a crime." The waitress, 50-something with kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a ponytail, grabbed 2 menus. "Your usual spot?" "Please." She led them to a booth in the back corner, next to a window that looked out on the woods. "Coffee?" Donna asked. "2, thanks," Adrian said. When she left, Lena leaned forward. "You have a usual spot?" "I used to come here a lot. When I first started the company and everything was falling apart daily, I'd drive up here on Sundays to think. The food's good, Nobody bothers you, and Donna makes the best pie I've ever had. So this place is special to you. Yeah, and I wanted to share it with you. Donna returned with coffee and took their order. Lena got blueberry pancakes. Adrian got an omelet that came with enough hash browns to feed 3 people. After Donna left, Adrian wrapped his hands around his coffee mug. I'm glad you're here. Me too. Are you? Really? Because you seem nervous. I am nervous. It's a lot. Yesterday you were my boss, and today we're at a diner an hour from the city, and you're holding my hand. We can slow down if you need to. I don't want to slow down. That's what scares me. Why? Lena traced the rim of her coffee cup. Because I've spent 3 years wanting this, and now that it's real, I'm terrified I'll mess it up. You're not going to mess it up. You don't know that. Lena, look at me. She did. His eyes were serious. I'm terrified too. I haven't really done this, in years. My last relationship ended because I worked too much and cared too little, and she was completely right to leave. I'm not good at this. At what? Being someone's person, remembering to text back, making time for things that aren't work. He paused. But I want to be good at it with you. What if we're terrible at this? What if we try and it doesn't work, and then everything at the office is ruined and awkward forever? Then we deal with it. But Lena, I'd rather try and fail than spend the rest of my life wondering what if. Their food arrived before she could respond. The pancakes were enormous, fluffy, and covered in fresh blueberries. Adrian's omelet took up half the plate. This is too much food, Lena said. That's the point. Try it. She did. The pancakes were perfect, light and buttery with just the right amount of sweetness. Okay, she admitted. This is really good. Told you. They ate and talked, the conversation flowing easier now. Adrian told her about learning to cook from his grandmother, the only person in his family who'd encouraged him to do something other than take over the family business. Lena told him about her brief obsession with pottery in college, how she'd been terrible at it, but loved it anyway. Do you still do it? Adrian asked. No, I don't have space for a wheel and classes are expensive. What if you had space? What do you mean? Just hypothetically, if you had space and money wasn't an issue, would you want to try again? Maybe. I don't know. It's been years. You should try. Life's too short not to do things that make you happy. Says the man who works 16-hour days. Adrian grimaced. Fair point. I'm working on that. Are you? Starting now. This year, I'm going to be better about it. Delegate more. Leave the office at reasonable hours. I'll believe it when I see it. Then you'll see it. He reached across the table and took her hand. I meant what I said last night. The business doesn't mean anything if I'm miserable. But you love what you do. I do. But I love... He stopped, caught himself. I care about you more. Lena's heart stuttered. He'd almost said love. She was sure of it. Adrian, sorry, too much? No, just unexpected. Would it help if I told you I've been half in love with you for months? Half in love? Okay, more than half, maybe all the way. He looked embarrassed. Is that crazy? We haven't even officially dated until right now. It's not crazy. No? No. Because I've been all the way in love with you since probably month 6 of working for you. The words hung between them. Adrian's grip on her hand tightened. You're in love with me, he said carefully. Yeah. Present tense. Very present tense. Lena Carter, you're going to wreck me. Is that good? That's everything. He leaned across the table and kissed her, right there in the diner. It was quick and sweet, and when he pulled back, Donna was standing nearby with a knowing smile. More coffee? She asked. Please, Adrian said without looking away from Lena. They stayed at the diner for 2 hours, long after their plates were cleared. They talked about childhood and college and all the small moments that had shaped them. Adrian told her about his father's business failing when he was 17, how he'd watched it destroy his dad slowly over the course of 2 years. Lena told him about dropping out of grad school, about the guilt she still carried over choosing money over dreams. It wasn't choosing money over dreams, Adrian said. It was choosing your family. That's not something to feel guilty about. I know. Logically, I know that. But sometimes I wonder who I'd be if I'd finished. Probably teaching Victorian literature to undergrads who don't appreciate it and living in a smaller apartment than the one you have now. That sounds judgmental. It's practical. Academia doesn't pay well, and you'd be brilliant at it, which means you'd care too much and burn out. He squeezed her hand. But if you want to go back, we'll figure it out. I'm 29. Too old to go back to grad school. That's bullshit, and you know it. It would be expensive. Lena, I have more money than I know what to do with. If you want to go back to school, I'll pay for it. You can't just offer to pay for my grad school. Why not? Because we've been dating for approximately 12 hours. Doesn't change the fact that I want you to be happy. Adrian, that's too much. Okay, then forget I said it, but keep it in the back of your mind. The offer stands whenever you're ready. They left the diner around 2. On the drive back, Lena felt the reality of Monday creeping closer. They had one more day before they had to walk into the office and figure out how to navigate this new reality. What are you thinking? Adrian asked. About work. Talk to me. I'm scared everyone will think I slept my way into my job. The people who matter know that's not true. Do they? I'm a good assistant, Adrian, but I'm not exceptional. If someone else had the position and we started dating, wouldn't you wonder? He was quiet for a moment. You want the truth? Always. You are exceptional. You've saved my ass more times than I can count. You remember things I forget, catch mistakes before they become disasters, and somehow manage to keep my schedule from imploding. Do you know how many assistants I went through before you? How many? 7. In 2 years. You're the first one who lasted more than 6 months, and the only reason you lasted is because you're actually good at your job. People won't see it that way. Then people are idiots. Lena smiled despite herself. That's not helpful. Maybe not, but it's true. He glanced at her. Here's what we're going to do. Monday, we talk to HR. We disclose the relationship. Then we have a conversation with my senior team, the people who work with you regularly. We tell them what's happening, we make it clear that nothing about your job performance or responsibilities is changing, and we move forward. What if they object? They won't. But what if they do? Then I'll deal with it. Lena, this is not your burden to carry alone. We're in this together. Together. Such a simple word, but it made her chest feel warm. They drove through the city as afternoon turned to evening. Adrian pulled up in front of her building but didn't turn off the car. Thank you for today, Lena said. Thank you for saying yes. What are you doing tonight? Probably working. I have a presentation on Thursday I need to finish. On New Year's weekend? Bad habit. What about you? Probably reading, maybe Netflix. They sat there in the car, neither of them wanting the day to end. Adrian? Yeah? Can I see you tomorrow? He smiled. I was hoping you'd ask. Your place or mine? Yours, if that's okay. I'll bring dinner. You don't have to. I want to. He kissed her goodbye on the sidewalk in front of her building where anyone could see. It felt like a statement, a declaration. They weren't hiding. Upstairs, Lena's apartment felt different. Smaller somehow, but in a good way. Like it had been the right size for one person, but was now waiting to hold 2. She touched the spot on the couch where Adrian had sat the night before, then felt ridiculous for being sentimental. Her phone buzzed. Miss you already. That's very sappy, she typed back. I'm embracing the sappiness. It's who I am now. Should I be worried? Probably. I'm going to be insufferable. Lena laughed and flopped onto her couch. This was her life now. Texting with Adrian, planning dates, falling asleep thinking about him and waking up to his messages. What time tomorrow? She asked. 6? Perfect. Lena? Yeah? I meant what I said at the diner, about being in love with you. Her breath caught. There it was. Not almost, not implied, just stated plainly. I meant what I said too, she sent back. Good. Just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. We are. Okay, I'll let you go. But I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about you too. She set her phone down and stared at the ceiling, a smile playing at her lips. Tomorrow he'd come over. Monday they'd tell HR. And somewhere beyond that was a future she couldn't quite see yet, but was beginning to believe in. Her phone rang. Rachel again. This time Lena answered with a grin she couldn't contain. Okay, something definitely happened, Rachel said immediately. You sound different. I met someone. What? When? How? Last night. Well, technically I've known him for 3 years, but last night things changed. Lena, why didn't you tell me this morning? Because it was new and I didn't want to jinx it. And now? Now I think it might be real. She told Rachel an edited version, left out the part about Adrian being her boss, just said he was someone from work, said they'd been dancing around feelings for a while and finally admitted them on New Year's Eve. This is amazing, Rachel said. When do I get to meet him? Slow down, we've had one official date. But you really like him. I really like him. I'm so happy for you, Lena. Really, you deserve this. After they hung up, Lena ordered Thai food and settled in with a book, but she kept reading the same paragraph over and over, her mind wandering to Adrian, wondering what he was doing, if he was really working or if he was thinking about her too. Around 9, her phone buzzed with a photo. Adrian in his home office, laptop open, wearing glasses she'd never seen him wear at work. Living dangerously, the caption said. Sent you a picture before I had time to overthink it. You wear glasses, she typed back. Only when my eyes are tired. They're not exactly CEO approved. I like them. Yeah? Yeah. You look softer, more real. I am real. This is me. No filter, no polish. I like this version. Good. Because this is the version you're getting from now on. They texted for another hour before Adrian finally said he had to sleep. Lena fell asleep with her phone on the pillow beside her, the screen still showing their conversation. Sunday morning arrived cold and bright. Lena spent the day cleaning her apartment and trying not to obsess over what to wear. Adrian had said 6, which gave her the entire day to spiral into anxiety. She changed her sheets, reorganized her bookshelf, made a grocery run she didn't really need. At 5:30, she showered and changed into leggings and an oversized sweater. Casual. Like it wasn't a big deal that Adrian was coming over for dinner. He arrived at 6 on the dot, carrying 2 bags of Thai food from a restaurant she'd never heard of. I ordered way too much, he said by way of greeting. How much is too much? Like, probably enough for 4 people. They spread the food across her coffee table, pad thai, green curry, spring rolls, mango sticky rice. Adrian had shed his coat and rolled up his shirt sleeves, and Lena kept getting distracted by his forearms. You're staring, he said. Sorry. Don't be sorry, I like it. They ate sitting on the floor, backs against the couch, knees touching. The food was incredible, and Adrian kept insisting she try everything. So I've been thinking about tomorrow, he said eventually. Me too. The meeting with HR is at 8. Margaret said she'd come in early. You talked to her? She called me back this afternoon, wanted to make sure it wasn't urgent. What did you tell her? That it's important but not an emergency. That we need to discuss protocols for a workplace relationship. How did she sound? Professional, which is good. This is what she does. He set down his plate. Lena, are you having second thoughts? No, just scared. Of what specifically? Of people thinking I'm using you, of losing my job, of this not working out and everything becoming awkward and awful. Okay, let's address those one at a time. He shifted to face her fully. First, anyone who thinks you're using me doesn't know you, and frankly, their opinion doesn't matter. Second, you're not losing your job. Workplace relationships aren't against policy as long as they're disclosed and managed properly. Third, he paused. Third is the scariest one, right? The idea that we try this and it doesn't work. Yeah, I can't promise you it will work. I can't promise we won't fight or get on each other's nerves or have moments where this feels hard. But I can promise you that I'm all in, that I'm going to show up and try and be honest even when it's uncomfortable. I can promise that too. Then that's enough. We don't need to have it all figured out. They cleaned up the food and moved to the couch. Adrian pulled her against his side and they sat there in comfortable silence, the TV playing something neither of them was really watching. Tell me something you're afraid of, Lena said suddenly. In general or about us? Either. Adrian thought for a moment. I'm afraid of becoming my father. What do you mean? He built this business that should have succeeded, but he was so focused on doing everything himself that he drove it into the ground, worked himself sick trying to save it. And I see myself doing the same thing, working too much, delegating too little, convincing myself that if I just push harder, everything will be fine. But you're aware of it. That's different. Is it? Awareness doesn't change behavior. It can, if you let it. He kissed the top of her head. What about you? What are you afraid of? Disappearing. Not physically, just becoming so small and quiet that I stop existing in any meaningful way. Lena, you could never disappear. You're vivid, even when you think you're being invisible. I don't feel vivid. Then I'll keep telling you until you believe me. They stayed up late talking, then later just existing together in comfortable silence. Around midnight, Adrian stood reluctantly. I should go home. We both need sleep before tomorrow. Yeah. At the door, he cupped her face in his hands. Whatever happens tomorrow, we're okay, you and me, okay? Okay. I'll meet you outside the building at 7:45. We'll go in together. 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 He kissed her goodnight, long and slow and full of promise. After he left, Lena leaned against the door and tried to calm her racing heart. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, they'd tell HR and face whatever came next. But for tonight, she let herself believe it would be okay. Lena barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, her mind played out a dozen different scenarios for how the morning could go wrong. Margaret from HR looking at her with disappointment. Adrian's senior team exchanging knowing glances. The whispers that would follow her through the halls. At 5 a.m., she gave up and made coffee. Her hand shook as she poured it, sloshing some onto the counter. She wiped it up and sat at her small kitchen table, staring at nothing. Her phone buzzed at 6:30. You awake? Unfortunately, she typed back. Me too. Couldn't sleep. Nervous? Terrified. You? Same. We could run away, start a new life in Montana. You hate the cold. Good point. Florida, then. Adrian. I know, just trying to make you laugh. It worked a little. Good. Get ready. I'll see you at 7:45. Lena showered and dressed with the kind of careful attention she usually reserved for important presentations. Gray slacks, a burgundy blouse, her good blazer. Professional. Put together. Like she was someone who had her life under control and definitely wasn't terrified of walking into work. She arrived at the office building at 7:40. Adrian was already there, leaning against the wall near the entrance, wearing a dark suit and looking like he'd slept as poorly as she had. Hey, he said when he saw her. Hey. They stood there on the sidewalk, the morning rush of Manhattan flowing around them. Adrian reached for her hand, then seemed to think better of it. Not yet, he said quietly. After the meeting. Okay. They rode the elevator to the 14th floor in silence. The office was mostly empty, just a few early arrivals who glanced up as they passed. Margaret's office was at the end of the hall, her door already open. Margaret Chen was 52, efficient, and intimidatingly competent. She'd been with the company since its early days and had the kind of institutional knowledge that made her indispensable. When she looked up and saw them both standing in her doorway, her expression gave nothing away. Come in, she said. Close the door. They sat in the chairs across from her desk. Lena's palms were sweating. So, Margaret said, folding her hands on her desk, a workplace relationship. Yes, Adrian said, between myself and Lena. Your assistant. Yes. Margaret's gaze shifted to Lena, who fought the urge to look away. How long has this been going on? 3 days, Lena said. Officially, but feelings have been developing for longer. Define developing. Months, Adrian said. On my end, at least. And nothing happened during that time? No inappropriate behavior? No, they both said at once. Margaret studied them for a long moment. All right, here's how this works. The company doesn't prohibit workplace relationships, but we have policies in place to prevent conflicts of interest and ensure a professional environment. Adrian, you are Lena's direct supervisor, which creates an inherent power imbalance that we need to address. I understand, Adrian said. The cleanest solution is to remove the reporting relationship. Lena, you would need to either transfer to a different department or report to someone else in the company. Lena's stomach dropped. She'd known this was coming, but hearing it out loud made it real. What are the options? Adrian asked. We could have Lena report to Michael Chen, your VP of operations. He oversees several administrative staff. Or she could move to a different role entirely. We have openings in marketing and business development. I don't want to leave my position, Lena said quietly. I'm good at what I do. No one is questioning your competence, Margaret said, and her tone was kinder now. But Adrian's assistant has access to confidential information, sits in on executive meetings, and functions as an extension of Adrian himself. The optics of that position while in a romantic relationship with him are complicated. So what you're saying is I have to choose between my job and my relationship. That's not what I'm saying. You'll still have a job here, just a different one, or with a different reporting structure. Lena looked at Adrian, who was staring at his hands. What if I step back from some of my current responsibilities? Lena suggested. Stop attending executive meetings. Have someone else handle sensitive materials. That fundamentally changes your role to the point where you'd essentially be doing a different job anyway, Margaret pointed out. And it creates complications for Adrian, who needs a fully functioning assistant. The room was silent except for the hum of Margaret's computer. Give us a week, Adrian said finally. Let me talk to my team, figure out what makes sense. We'll come back with a proposal. That's reasonable, Margaret said. In the meantime, I need you both to sign disclosure forms acknowledging the relationship and agreeing to maintain professional boundaries in the workplace. She slid 2 forms across the desk. Lena read through hers carefully. It was straightforward, just stating the facts and confirming she understood the company's policies. She signed it, her hand steadier than she expected. After they left Margaret's office, they walked back to the elevator without speaking. Once inside, Adrian pressed the button for the executive floor and finally looked at her. I'm sorry, he said. For what? For not thinking this through. For putting you in this position. You didn't put me anywhere. I made my own choices. Still, I should have anticipated this. The elevator doors opened. The executive floor was starting to fill up. Administrative staff arriving, the coffee station buzzing with morning conversation. People looked up as they passed, their expressions curious. Adrian's office was at the corner, glass walls giving him a view of the bullpen where his senior team worked. Lena had spent 3 years moving in and out of this space, but now it felt different, foreign almost. I need to talk to Michael, Adrian said. See if having you report to him is actually feasible, or if it's just a bureaucratic solution that doesn't work in practice. And if it doesn't work, then we figure out something else. Adrian, maybe I should just take one of the other positions, marketing, or is that what you want? No, but I don't want to make things complicated for you either. He crossed to where she stood and took her hands. Lena, listen to me. We're going to figure this out. It might not be elegant or easy, but we'll find something that works. You keep saying that because I keep meaning it. There was a knock on the door. They stepped apart as Sarah Lou, Adrian's VP of Finance, poked her head in. Morning? Got a minute? Actually, I need to call a meeting, Adrian said. Full senior team. Can you gather everyone in the conference room in 20 minutes? Sarah's eyebrows rose slightly. Everything okay? Everything's fine. Just need to discuss something with everyone at once. After Sarah left, Lena turned to Adrian. You're telling them now? Better to control the narrative than let rumors spread. What are you going to say? The truth. That we're seeing each other, that we've disclosed it to HR, and that we're working on a solution for the reporting structure. They're going to have opinions, probably, but they'll have them whether we tell them now or they hear it through the grapevine. The 20 minutes dragged. Lena sat in Adrian's office trying to look busy while he made notes on his laptop. At 8:45, they walked to the conference room together. The senior team was already there. Sarah, Michael Chen, David Rodriguez from sales, and Jennifer Park from marketing. They looked up with varying expressions of curiosity and concern. Thanks for making time on short notice, Adrian said, closing the door. I'll keep this brief. Lena and I have started a personal relationship. We disclosed it to HR this morning, and we're working on adjusting our professional arrangement to ensure there's no conflict of interest. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Sarah spoke. When you say personal relationship, we're dating, Adrian said bluntly. More silence. Lena wanted to disappear into the floor. How long has this been going on? Michael asked. Since New Year's Eve, but feelings have been developing for longer on both sides. Jennifer leaned back in her chair, studying them both. Does this impact Lena's job performance? No, Lena said, finding her voice. I'm still committed to doing my work to the best of my ability. The issue isn't your commitment, David said. It's perception. You sit in on meetings where we discuss sensitive information. You have access to Adrian's schedule, his emails, confidential documents. How do we trust that information stays compartmentalized? The same way you've trusted me for the past 3 years, Lena said, heat creeping into her voice. My access to information hasn't changed. My integrity hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is my personal life, which is now entangled with our CEO, David shot back. Enough, Adrian said sharply. Lena's professionalism has never been in question, and I won't have it questioned now. We're here to find a solution, not to attack her character. No one's attacking her character, Sarah said carefully. But David has a point about optics. If Lena continues as your assistant, people will question every decision that involves her, every promotion, every raise, every project she touches. So what are you suggesting? Adrian asked. That she moves to a different role, something lateral, not a demotion, but separate from you. I don't want to move, Lena said. Then report to me, Michael offered. I've worked with you enough to know you're good at what you do. We can restructure so you're my assistant, but still handle some of Adrian's scheduling and administrative needs. It's not perfect, but it maintains your core responsibilities while creating a buffer. Would that actually work? Adrian asked. In practice? Maybe. On paper? It satisfies HR's requirements. Michael looked at Lena. You'd need to be comfortable with it, though. Taking direction from me, dealing with my chaos instead of Adrian's. Your chaos is different? More spreadsheets, less existential dread. Despite everything, Lena almost smiled. Michael was good people, organized, fair, and notably less intense than Adrian. Can I think about it? She asked. Of course. Take the week Margaret gave you. The meeting wrapped up shortly after, everyone filing out with various degrees of discomfort. Jennifer lingered behind. For what it's worth, she said to Lena, I think you're handling this with a lot more grace than I would. And David's an ass about 70% of the time, so don't take his comments personally. Thanks. After Jennifer left, Lena and Adrian stood alone in the conference room. That was brutal, Lena said. Yeah, David hates me now. David doesn't hate you. He's just protective of the company and terrible at expressing it. Michael's offer is good. It is. But is it what you want? I don't know. I need to think about it. They walked back to Adrian's office, where Lena's desk sat just outside his door. She'd spent 3 years at this desk, in this spot, being the person who knew where Adrian needed to be and when. The thought of giving it up made her chest tight. But the thought of people questioning every interaction, every decision, was worse. She made it through the morning by sheer force of will. Answered emails, managed Adrian's calendar, coordinated a meeting with the board. Everything was normal and nothing was normal. She could feel people watching her, their gazes sliding away when she looked up. At lunch, she escaped to a coffee shop 3 blocks away and called Rachel. I need to talk to someone or I'm going to lose my mind, she said without preamble. What's wrong? Remember the guy I told you about from work? The New Year's Eve guy. Yeah, he's my boss. Was my boss? I don't know what tense to use anymore. Lena, what? The whole story came tumbling out, Adrian being the CEO, the 3 years of secret feelings, the HR meeting, the senior team discussion, the impossible choice between her job and her relationship. Okay, Rachel said when she finished. First of all, holy shit. I know. Second, you're dating your CEO. That's wild. It gets worse. Everyone at work is either staring at me or pretending not to stare at me, and I had to sit through a meeting where my competence was basically questioned, and I don't know what to do. What does Adrian say? That we'll figure it out, that he's not going anywhere. Do you believe him? Lena thought about Adrian standing in her apartment at midnight, about the way he'd held her hand in Margaret's office, even when he didn't have to, about the sharpness in his voice when David questioned her integrity. Yeah, I believe him. Then maybe you need to trust that. Take the week, think about Michael's offer, and see how you feel. What if this ruins everything? My job, my relationship, all of it. What if it doesn't? Rachel countered. What if this is scary but worth it? After they hung up, Lena sat in the coffee shop for another 20 minutes, staring at her untouched sandwich. Her phone buzzed. "How are you holding up?" Adrian asked. "I'm okay. Needed some air." "Understandable. I'm sorry about David." "It's fine. It's not fine, but we'll address it. Adrian, maybe we should cool things off for a bit, until we figure out the work situation." There was a long pause before his response came through. "Is that what you want?" "I don't know. I just don't want to make things harder for you. You're not making things harder. The situation is complicated, but you're not the problem. Feels like I'm the problem. Can I call you? I'm at a coffee shop, so go outside." Lena grabbed her coat and stepped out onto the sidewalk. Her phone rang immediately. "I need you to hear me," Adrian said without greeting. "None of this is your fault. Not the HR policies, not the senior team's concerns, not the whispers in the office. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm dating my boss, that's something. We're two adults who developed feelings for each other. That's not wrong, it's just complicated. It's very complicated. I know, and I know you're scared. But Lena, please don't ask me to cool things off because you think it'll make my life easier. If we're doing this, we're doing it because we both want to, not because it's convenient. I do want to. I'm overwhelmed. That's fair. Today has been a lot. Are you okay? Honestly? No. I hate that people are making you uncomfortable. I hate that David questioned you. I hate that this is hard. But I don't regret any of it. I'd rather deal with all of this than go back to pretending. Lena leaned against the building, closing her eyes. Me too. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Good. Come back when you're ready. Take your time. She returned to the office an hour later, fortified by coffee and Rachel's pep talk. The afternoon was easier than the morning, people were busy with their own work, and the novelty of her and Adrian seemed to be wearing off. At 5, Adrian appeared at her desk. "Can we talk in my office?" She followed him in, closing the door behind her. "I spoke with Michael," Adrian said. "The reporting structure he suggested could work. You'd still handle most of my scheduling and administrative tasks, but technically, you'd be his assistant. It gives us the separation HR needs while keeping you in a role you're good at." "What's the catch?" "The catch is it's not a perfect solution. There will still be questions. Still be people who think it's inappropriate. And you're okay with that?" "I'm okay with it if you are." Lena sat down in one of his guest chairs. "I need to know something. Anything. If this doesn't work out, if we try the relationship thing and it falls apart, what happens to my job?" Adrian was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Your job is secure regardless of what happens between us. That's non-negotiable. If we break up, you don't lose your position. Can you promise that?" "Yes. I'll put it in writing if you need me to." "I don't need it in writing. I just needed to hear you say it." "Lena, I'm not going to punish you professionally because of our personal relationship. Whether we're together or not, you're a valuable employee. Okay? Okay, you believe me? Or okay, you'll take Michael's offer?" "Both, I think." Relief flooded Adrian's face. Yeah, it's not perfect, but nothing about this is perfect. And Michael's right. It's better than me leaving my role entirely. We'll make it work. We'd better. They stayed in his office for another hour, working through the logistics. How her responsibilities would shift, what her new title would be, when to make the announcement. It was tedious and necessary, and by the end of it, Lena's head was spinning. "Come home with me," Adrian said when they finally finished. "What?" "Come to my place, I'll cook dinner. We can forget about all of this for a few hours." "I should go home. It's been a long day. Please, I don't want to be alone right now, and I'm guessing you don't either." He was right. The thought of going back to her empty apartment and replaying the day's events was unbearable. "Okay," she said. They took Adrian's car through Manhattan traffic, eventually pulling into an underground garage in a sleek building in the financial district. His apartment was on the 32nd floor, a penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Lena stood in the entryway and tried not to gape. The space was enormous, all clean lines and expensive furniture and art that probably cost more than her car. "This is where you live," she said. "Unfortunately." "What do you mean, unfortunately? It's incredible." "It's cold. And empty. I told you that." He wasn't wrong. For all its beauty, The apartment felt impersonal, like a hotel suite someone had lived in for too long. There were no personal photos, no clutter, no signs of life beyond the takeout menus stuck to the fridge. "Make yourself comfortable," Adrian said, shrugging off his jacket. "I'm going to change." He disappeared down a hallway, and Lena wandered to the windows. The city sprawled below her, lights beginning to twinkle as evening settled in. It was beautiful and dizzying and so far removed from her studio in Washington Heights that it felt like a different world entirely. Adrian returned wearing jeans and a t-shirt, his hair slightly messed from pulling the shirt over his head. He looked younger like this, less intimidating. "Better?" he asked. "Much." He started pulling ingredients from the fridge: chicken, vegetables, pasta. "I'm not a great cook, but I can manage pasta primavera." "You don't have to cook. We can order something." "I want to cook. It's calming." Lena sat at the kitchen island and watched him work. He moved with the kind of focus he brought to everything, chopping vegetables with more precision than was probably necessary. "Today was awful," he said eventually. "Yeah, I keep thinking about David's comments, about how he made you feel. He wasn't entirely wrong, though. People will question things. That doesn't make it okay. Adrian, you can't protect me from every uncomfortable conversation. I can try." "Don't. I mean it. I need to handle this myself. If you're always jumping in to defend me, it'll just make the optics worse." He set down his knife and looked at her. "You're right. I know you're right. It's just hard to watch." "I know." They fell into silence, broken only by the sound of vegetables hitting the pan. The smell of garlic and olive oil filled the kitchen. "My mom called today," Adrian said suddenly. "What did you tell her?" "Nothing yet. She wanted to know if I was coming to dinner on Sunday. It's a family thing. We do it every week." "That sounds nice." "It's chaos. My mom, my dad, my sister and her husband, my brother and his fiancée, my nephew who's 7 and has more energy than should be physically possible." "You have a nephew?" "Yeah, Parker. He's obsessed with dinosaurs and thinks I'm boring because I work too much." "He's not wrong." Adrian smiled. "He's definitely not wrong." He turned back to the stove, stirring the vegetables. "I want you to come this Sunday." "To family dinner?" "Yeah." "Adrian, that's a lot. We've been together for 4 days." "I know, but they're going to find out eventually, and I'd rather introduce you on my terms than have my mom ambush me with questions." "What if they don't like me?" "They'll love you. My mom especially. She's been on my case about dating for years." "Still, meeting the parents is a big step." "So is restructuring your entire job because of me. We're past small steps, Lena." He had a point. They'd already jumped into the deep end. What was one more thing? "Okay," she said. "I'll come." "Yeah?" "Yeah. But if your nephew asks me about dinosaurs, you're helping." "Deal." They ate dinner at his dining table, which seated 12 but was clearly never used. The pasta was good, better than Lena expected. They talked about nothing important: movies they'd seen, books they'd read, the weird guy who hung out at the coffee shop near the office and always ordered exactly 7 espresso shots. After dinner, they moved to the couch, a massive thing that faced the windows and the city beyond. Adrian pulled Lena against him, and she rested her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Thank you for today," she said quietly. "For what?" "For not making this easy." "I don't understand." "You could have asked me to take a different job entirely. Could have made it simpler for yourself, but you didn't." "Lena, the easy thing would have been to never tell you how I felt. To keep things professional and safe and miserable. We're way past easy." "I guess we are." They sat there as the city lights grew brighter and the sky darkened. Lena felt the tension of the day slowly draining away, replaced by something that felt almost like peace. "Stay tonight," Adrian said. "What?" "Stay here. I have guest rooms if you want space, but I don't want you to leave." "Adrian, I know it's fast. I know we're supposed to take things slow, but I'm tired of pretending I don't want you around all the time." Lena lifted her head to look at him. His expression was open, vulnerable in a way she rarely saw. "Okay," she said. "Yeah?" "Yeah. But I need to go home first thing tomorrow. Get clean clothes, feed my neighbor's cat that I'm watching." "You have a cat?" I'm watching her. Mrs. Chen downstairs is in Florida for the month. What's the cat's name? Mochi. That's a good name. She's a good cat, very judgmental, but good. Adrian laughed, the sound warm and genuine. I want to meet this judgmental cat. She'd hate you. She hates everyone except Mrs. Chen and occasionally me when I remember to give her the expensive treats. I'll win her over. Good luck with that. They stayed on the couch for another hour before Adrian showed her to a guest room, which was bigger than her entire apartment and had its own bathroom with a shower that looked like it belonged in a spa. I'll find you something to sleep in, Adrian said. He returned with a t-shirt and sweatpants, both absurdly large on her. When he saw her wearing them, something in his expression shifted. What? Lena asked. Nothing. You look good in my clothes. I look ridiculous. You look like you belong here. The words settled between them, heavy with implication. Lena wasn't sure how to respond, so she just kissed him goodnight and closed the door. She lay in the unfamiliar bed in the unfamiliar room, surrounded by unfamiliar silence. The sheets were expensive, the mattress obscenely comfortable, but she couldn't sleep. Her mind kept racing through everything that had happened: the HR meeting, the senior team discussion, David's comments, Michael's offer. Around midnight, there was a soft knock on her door. Yeah? Adrian opened the door, backlit by the hallway light. Can't sleep either. No. Can I come in? It's your apartment. He crossed to the bed and sat on the edge. I keep thinking about what you said earlier, about me not protecting you from uncomfortable conversations. Adrian? No, you were right. I can't fight your battles for you. But I want you to know that I'm here if you need me. Not to rescue you, just to be there. I know. Do you? Yes. She sat up, pulling the blanket around her shoulders. Today was hard, but we got through it. That's what matters. We still have to actually implement Michael's plan. Tell the office. Deal with questions. I know, but we'll handle it. He reached for her hand. You're stronger than I am. That's not true. It is. You walked into that meeting this morning knowing you might lose your job and you did it anyway. That takes guts. Or stupidity. It's not stupidity, it's courage. Lena squeezed his hand. I should probably try to sleep. Tomorrow's going to be another long day. Right, yeah. He stood to leave, then paused at the door. Lena? Yeah? I'm really glad you're here. Me too. After he left, she lay back down and stared at the ceiling. This was her life now, sleeping in Adrian's guest room after a day of navigating workplace politics and relationship complications. It was messy and scary and nothing like the simple, quiet life she'd imagined for herself. But somehow, impossibly, it also felt right. The restructuring announcement went out Wednesday morning. A simple email from HR explaining that Lena Carter would now be reporting to Michael Chen while continuing to support executive operations. Professional. Neutral. Exactly the kind of corporate language designed to say everything and nothing at once. The reactions were immediate. By lunch, Lena had fielded 6 questions from coworkers asking if she was being demoted, 4 sympathetic looks from people who clearly thought she'd been pushed out, and 1 outright hostile comment from a woman in accounting who said it must be nice to date your way into job security. Lena had walked away from that one before she said something she'd regret. She was hiding in the women's bathroom on the 14th floor when Jennifer from marketing found her. There you are, Jennifer said. I've been looking for you. I'm fine. You're hiding in a bathroom. That's not fine. I just needed a minute. Jennifer leaned against the sink, studying her. People are idiots. You know that, right? They're just reacting to change. They're being judgmental assholes. There's a difference. Jennifer crossed her arms. Look, I've been with this company for 8 years. I've seen people actually sleep their way into positions, and I've seen competent people get unfairly questioned. You're in the second category. How can you be sure? Because I've worked with you. I've seen you manage Adrian's impossible schedule, catch errors that would have cost us real money, and somehow stay calm when he's in one of his moods. That's not someone who got their job through a relationship. Lena felt her throat tighten. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just stop hiding in bathrooms. It makes them think they're right about you. Jennifer was right, but that didn't make walking back to her desk any easier. Lena could feel eyes on her as she passed through the bullpen. Some people quickly looked away. Others didn't bother hiding their stares. Michael was waiting at her new desk, which was still outside Adrian's office, but now technically under Michael's purview. The whole arrangement was bureaucratic theater, but it satisfied HR. "How are you holding up?" Michael asked. "I've had better days. People will move on, give it a week, maybe two, and something else will become the hot gossip. And if they don't, then they don't. You can't control what other people think, Lena. You can only control how you do your job." It was practical advice that didn't make her feel any better. But Michael meant well, so she nodded and turned her attention to the mountain of work on her desk. The afternoon was a blur of emails and phone calls, and trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy. Adrian had meetings back to back, which meant they barely saw each other except for brief moments when he passed her desk. Each time their eyes met, he looked like he wanted to say something, but with people around, he just kept walking. At 4 o'clock, David from sales appeared at her desk. "Can we talk?" he asked. Lena looked up, surprised. "Okay?" "Not here. Conference room B is empty." She followed him down the hall, her stomach churning. David had been the most vocal critic during Monday's senior team meeting. Whatever he wanted to say, it probably wasn't good. He closed the door behind them and turned to face her. "I owe you an apology." That was not what she'd expected. "What?" "Monday's meeting. I was out of line questioning your integrity. Jennifer called me out on it, and she was right." "Oh, I have a bad habit of being protective of this company to the point where I forget there are actual people involved. You've been nothing but professional, and I shouldn't have implied otherwise." Lena sat down, processing this. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I was wrong. And because Adrian looked like he wanted to murder me for the rest of the meeting, which means I probably need to fix this before it impacts our working relationship." David sat across from her. "For what it's worth, I think the situation is complicated as hell, but that doesn't mean you did anything wrong." "Thank you. That actually means a lot." "Don't thank me yet. I'm still going to be a pain in the ass about other things." "I'd expect nothing less." They talked for another 10 minutes, David explaining his concerns about optics, and Lena explaining her commitment to maintaining professional boundaries. It wasn't a perfect conversation, but it was real. By the end, Lena felt like maybe she had one less person judging her. When she returned to her desk, Adrian was standing there with his coat on. "Ready to go?" he asked. "It's only 4:30. I'm leaving early. You should too." "Adrian, please. We both need a break, and I'm invoking my authority as as Michael's boss who has influence over your schedule." Despite everything, Lena smiled. "That's a stretch. Is it working?" "Maybe." They left separately, Adrian through the executive elevator, Lena through the main lobby. It felt ridiculous, this performance of propriety, but it was what the situation required. Adrian's car was waiting around the corner. Lena slid into the passenger seat and immediately felt some of the day's tension drain away. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere that isn't here." They drove north out of Manhattan, crossing into New Jersey. The city gave way to suburbs, then to sprawling parks and nature preserves. Adrian pulled into a parking lot overlooking a reservoir, the water dark and still in the late afternoon light. "What is this place?" Lena asked. "Somewhere I come when I need to think, or not think, depends on the day." They got out and walked along a path that wound around the water's edge. It was cold, but not unbearably so. A few other people were out, joggers, dog walkers, a couple pushing a stroller. "Today was awful," Adrian said after a while. "The announcement?" "Everything. Watching people look at you differently, knowing they're questioning you, not being able to do anything about it." "You can't fix this for me." "I know. Doesn't mean I like it." They walked in silence for a bit, their breath fogging in the cold air. "David apologized," Lena said. "What?" "This afternoon. Called me into a conference room and apologized for Monday." "Seriously?" "Yeah. Said Jennifer called him out and he realized he was wrong." Adrian looked genuinely surprised. That's good. I'm glad." "Me too. One less person thinking I'm using you." "Lena, I know. You've said it doesn't matter what people think, but it does matter. It matters to me." "Then what can I do to make it better?" "Nothing. Just be patient while I figure out how to navigate this." They reached a bench overlooking the water and sat down. The sun was starting to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. "Sunday's going to be interesting," Adrian said. Your family dinner. Yeah. Fair warning, my mom is going to interrogate you? About what? Everything. Your job, your family, your intentions with her son. Your mom asks about people's intentions? She's protective. I'm her oldest, and she's been waiting for me to settle down for about a decade. No pressure then, Adrian laughed. She's gonna love you. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about Parker demanding you play dinosaurs for 3 hours. I can handle a 7-year-old. You say that now. They sat and watched the sunset, Adrian's arm around her shoulders, Lena's head resting against him. For the first time all week, she felt like she could breathe. Thank you for bringing me here, she said. Thank you for coming. They stayed until the sky darkened and the cold became too much to ignore. On the drive back, Adrian reached for her hand and Lena laced their fingers together. Stay with me tonight, he said. I should go home. Feed Mochi, get clean clothes. Then I'll come with you. We'll feed Mochi together, grab your clothes, and go back to my place. You want to meet Mrs. Chen's judgmental cat? I really do. Lena's apartment felt smaller with Adrian in it. He stood in the middle of her living room, taking in the secondhand furniture and overflowing bookshelf, and something in his expression softened. I like it here, he said. You're lying. I'm not. It feels like you, comfortable and real. Mochi appeared from the bedroom, a fluffy white cat with green eyes and an attitude. She took one look at Adrian and hissed. Wow, Adrian said. You weren't kidding about judgmental. She needs time to warm up to people. How much time? Mrs. Chen said it took about 6 months. Perfect. I've got time. Adrian sat on the floor and extended his hand. Mochi hissed again, then retreated under the couch. I think she hates me, Adrian said. She hates everyone at first. Give her a minute. Lena fed Mochi while Adrian explored her apartment, looking at her books, studying the few photos she had on display, examining the pottery mug she'd made in that college class she'd mentioned. You kept this, he said, holding up the mug. It was lopsided and glazed in a truly unfortunate shade of green. It's terrible, but it's mine. It's not terrible. It's charming. Now I know you're lying. He set the mug down carefully. I'm not. I like seeing the things you've made, the things you've chosen to keep. It tells me who you are. A person with bad taste in pottery? A person who values the things she's created, even when they're imperfect. Lena felt her chest tighten in that way it did when Adrian said something unexpectedly meaningful. You're very good at this. At what? Making me feel like I matter. Lena, you do matter. I thought I'd made that clear. She kissed him then, right there in her small kitchen with Mochi watching suspiciously from under the couch. It was slower than their previous kisses, less urgent, like they had all the time in the world. Pack a bag, Adrian said when they broke apart. Stay with me this weekend. We'll come back Sunday before dinner so you can change. That's a lot of staying over. Is it too much? Maybe, but I like it anyway. She threw clothes into an overnight bag while Adrian attempted to make friends with Mochi. By the time Lena emerged from the bedroom, the cat had ventured out from under the couch and was sniffing Adrian's hand with deep suspicion. Progress, Adrian announced. She's probably just smelling the expensive cologne. Cats appreciate quality. They drove back to Adrian's penthouse as the city lit up for the evening. Lena was getting used to the space now, finding it less intimidating and more curious. How did someone live in a place this big and this empty? Can I ask you something? She said as Adrian opened a bottle of wine. Anything. Why is your apartment so empty? No photos, no personal stuff, just space. Adrian was quiet for a moment, pouring wine into 2 glasses. Honestly, I never made it a home. I bought it 5 years ago because it was a good investment and I needed somewhere to sleep. But I never put myself into it. Why not? Because I was working all the time. Because it didn't seem worth the effort when I was barely here. Because making a home felt like admitting I was planning to stay alone. And now? Now I'm thinking maybe I should put up some photos. Get furniture that isn't from a catalog. Make it feel like someone actually lives here. I could help with that, if you want. Yeah? Yeah. I'm good at making spaces feel lived in. Comes from having a small apartment and too many books. They spent the evening on his couch, drinking wine and talking about nothing important. Around 10, Adrian's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and groaned. My mom. If I don't answer, she'll just keep calling. Then answer. He put it on speaker. Hey, Mom. Adrian, finally. I've been trying to reach you for days. I've been busy. Too busy for your mother? Apparently so. Don't be smart. I'm calling about Sunday dinner. You're still coming? Yes, and I'm bringing someone. There was a pause. Someone? A woman. Her name is Lena. Another pause, longer this time. Adrian Joseph Vance, are you telling me you're bringing a date to family dinner? Yes. A real date, not a colleague or a friend? A real date, Mom. The sound that came through the phone was somewhere between a squeal and a shout. Oh my, Robert, come here. Adrian's bringing a woman to dinner. Mom, please don't make this a big deal. Not make it a big deal? You haven't brought anyone to family dinner in 4 years. It's been 3 years. 3, 4, what's the difference? This is wonderful. Tell me about her. What's her name again? Lena? Adrian looked at Lena, who was trying very hard not to laugh. Yes, her name is Lena. She's amazing, Mom. You'll love her. I'm sure I will. What does she do? She works with me. At your company? Yes. And she agreed to date you despite seeing you at work. She must be very patient. Thanks, Mom. I'm teasing. I'm excited to meet her. Does she have any food restrictions? Allergies? I'll ask her and let you know. Good. Dinner's at 6. Don't be late. After he hung up, Adrian dropped his head into his hands. I'm sorry about that. Don't be. She sounds nice. She's going to ask you approximately 800 questions. I can handle it. Can you? Really? Adrian, I spent 3 years managing your calendar and dealing with board members. I think I can handle your mom. Fair point. They went to bed around midnight. Adrian in his room, Lena in the guest room. She was starting to wonder when they'd actually sleep in the same bed, but neither of them seemed ready to push for it. This thing between them was still new, still fragile. They were taking it slow in the ways they could. Thursday and Friday passed in a blur of work and stolen moments. The office gossip was dying down, replaced by the usual drama of deadlines and projects. People were getting used to the new reporting structure, and while there were still occasional stares, they felt less hostile. Friday evening, as Lena was packing up her desk, Sarah from finance stopped by. Got a minute? Sarah asked. Sure. I wanted to apologize for Monday's meeting. I was focused on the business implications, but I didn't think about how my comments might have made you feel. It's okay. You were doing your job. Still, it wasn't personal, and I should have made that clearer. Sarah hesitated. For what it's worth, I think you and Adrian are good for each other. I've known him for 5 years, and I've never seen him like this. Like what? Present. He's usually so wrapped up in work that he barely exists as a human being, but this week, even with all the complications, he seems, I don't know, more grounded. Thank you. That means a lot. Good luck on Sunday. I've met his family. They're lovely, but they're a lot. After Sarah left, Adrian appeared at her desk. Ready to go? Where are we going? Dinner. Then I thought we could walk through Central Park. It's supposed to be clear tonight. That sounds nice. They ate at a small Italian restaurant in the West Village, tucked into a corner table where they could pretend the rest of the world didn't exist. Adrian ordered wine and pasta, and they talked about the week, the good parts and the hard parts, and everything in between. I'm nervous about Sunday, Lena admitted. My family? Yeah, what if they don't like me? They're going to love you. You don't know that. I do. You're kind and smart and funny. What's not to love? I'm also dating their son after 3 days, and I'm his employee. Those are red flags. Ex-employee, technically. You report to Michael now. That's not how they're going to see it. Adrian reached across the table and took her hand. Lena, my family isn't going to judge you. They're going to be thrilled that I'm finally dating someone I actually care about. And if they do judge me, then we deal with it, together. After dinner, they walked through Central Park, the paths lit by old-fashioned lampposts. It was cold enough that their breath fogged, and Lena was grateful for Adrian's arm around her shoulders. Tell me about your family, Adrian said. What about them? Anything. I know you have a sister, but that's it. Rachel's 3 years older, married with 2 kids, lives in Portland, and has one of those lives that looks perfect from the outside. Is it perfect? Probably not, but it looks that way. which is what matters. Lena paused. My parents are retired, living in Florida. They're good people, but we're not particularly close. Why not? I don't know. We don't have much in common. They're happy with their quiet retirement, and I'm up here trying to figure out my life. Do they know about me? Not yet. I told Rachel, but I haven't told my parents. Are you going to? Eventually, when things feel more settled. What does settled look like? Lena thought about it. I don't know. Maybe when we've been together longer than a week? That's fair. They walked in comfortable silence for a while, the sounds of the city muted by the trees around them. I keep waiting for this to get easier, Lena said. For the work stuff to stop being complicated, for people to stop staring, for everything to feel normal. And I don't think it's going to. I think this is just what it is now, complicated and messy and public. Does that bother you? Sometimes, but not enough to walk away. Adrian stopped walking and turned to face her. I know this is hard. I know you're dealing with things you shouldn't have to deal with because of me. Not because of you, because of us. Still, I want you to know that I see it. I see how hard you're working to make this work, and I'm grateful. And I'm here. Whatever you need. I know. He kissed her there in the middle of Central Park, and Lena forgot about the cold and the complications and everything except this moment. Saturday was lazy. They slept late, made breakfast together, Adrian burning the toast while Lena rescued the eggs, and spent the afternoon watching movies on his massive TV. It felt domestic and comfortable, like they'd been doing this for years instead of days. Around 5, Adrian's phone rang. His sister. Hey, Nat, he answered. So Mom told me you're bringing a woman to dinner tomorrow. That's accurate. Tell me everything. No. Adrian. You'll meet her tomorrow. That's all you need to know. Is she pretty? She's beautiful. Is she nice? The nicest person I've ever met. Does she know what she's getting into? Dating you? Probably not. Natalie laughed. I like her already. See you tomorrow. After he hung up, Lena looked at him. Your sister sounds fun. She's a pain in the ass, but yeah, she's fun. You'll like her. How can you be so sure? Because everyone likes Natalie. It's annoying. Sunday morning arrived too quickly. Lena woke in Adrian's guest room with her stomach in knots. Today she'd meet his family. Today she'd walk into his childhood world and try to make a good impression. She spent an hour deciding what to wear, finally settling on dark jeans and a soft blue sweater. Casual but put together. Not trying too hard, but not too casual either. Adrian appeared in the doorway as she was putting on earrings. You look great, he said. I'm terrified. Don't be. They're going to love you. You keep saying that. Because it's true. They drove to his parents' house in Westchester, a large colonial in a neighborhood where all the houses looked expensive and well-maintained. Adrian parked in the driveway behind 2 other cars. My sister's here already, he said, and probably my brother. How many people are we talking about? 7, including us. Maybe 8 if Parker brings a friend. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of noise, but it's good noise. They walked to the front door, and before Adrian could knock, it flew open. A woman in her late 50s stood there, short, stylish, with Adrian's dark hair and sharp eyes. There you are, she said, pulling Adrian into a hug. Then she turned to Lena. And you must be Lena. I'm Helen, Adrian's mother. Come in, come in. It's freezing out there. The house was warm and loud and full of life. A man who looked like an older version of Adrian appeared from the kitchen. A woman in her 30s came down the stairs, followed by a little boy who immediately launched himself at Adrian. Uncle Adrian! Hey, Parks, miss me? You're late. Grandma said 6, and it's 6:07. Sorry, buddy, traffic. The boy turned his attention to Lena. Who are you? I'm Lena. Are you Uncle Adrian's girlfriend? Parker, the woman on the stairs said, don't interrogate our guests. I'm just asking. Yes, Lena said. I'm his girlfriend. Parker studied her seriously. Do you like dinosaurs? I don't know much about them, but I'd like to learn. Good. I'll teach you after dinner. Helen ushered them into the living room where Adrian's father was reading the paper. He looked up and smiled. Adrian. Good to see you, son. And this must be the famous Lena. Famous might be a stretch, Dad. Your mother's been talking about nothing else for 3 days. Dinner was chaos in the best way. Helen had made enough food for twice as many people: roast chicken, potatoes, 3 different vegetables, homemade bread. Adrian's sister Natalie peppered Lena with questions between bites. His brother Mark argued with his fiancée about whether they should get a dog, and Parker provided running commentary on everything. "So, Lena," Helen said during a lull in conversation, "Adrian tells me you work with him." "I do. I'm an assistant in operations." "And how did you two meet?" "Mom," Adrian said. "Don't interrogate her." "I'm not interrogating. I'm making conversation." "It's okay," Lena said. "I've been working at the company for 3 years. We've known each other professionally that whole time." "And it took you 3 years to figure out you liked each other." "Apparently we're both slow learners." Everyone laughed, and Lena felt some of her tension ease. These people weren't judging her. They were just curious, and maybe a little protective of Adrian. After dinner, Parker dragged Lena to his room to show her his dinosaur collection. He had approximately 7,000 plastic dinosaurs, each with its own name and backstory. "This one's a T-Rex. His name is Henry, and he's the king of all dinosaurs. This one's a Triceratops. Her name is Martha, and she's Henry's best friend even though they're supposed to be enemies." "That's a good story," Lena said. "Uncle Adrian says stories are important. He says that's how we make sense of the world." "Your uncle is smart." "He's okay. He works too much, though. Grandma says so." "She's probably right." Parker looked at her seriously. "Are you going to make him work less?" "I'm going to try." "Good. He needs help." They played dinosaurs for an hour, Lena doing her best to keep up with Parker's elaborate scenarios. When they finally came back downstairs, Adrian was in the kitchen helping his mom clean up. "Parker corner you?" Natalie asked. "In the best way. He's a great kid." "He likes you. That's saying something. He usually hates Adrian's work friends." "I'm not really a work friend, though." "No, I guess not." Natalie studied her. "You're good for him, I can tell." "How?" "He's smiling, like actually smiling, not that corporate smile he does at events. And he keeps looking at you like he can't quite believe you're real." Lena felt her cheeks heat. "We're still figuring things out." "That's okay. The good relationships take time." By 9 o'clock, Lena was exhausted from the emotional intensity of meeting so many people at once. Adrian seemed to sense it because he started making exit noises. Helen walked them to the door. "Lena, it was wonderful meeting you. I hope we'll see you again soon." "Thank you for having me. Dinner was amazing." "Next time I'll make my lasagna. Adrian loves it." "Mom?" "What? I'm just saying." On the drive back to the city, Lena leaned her head against the window and smiled. "That went well," Adrian said. Your family is wonderful. They liked you. I told you they would. Your mom's already planning next time." "She does that. Adopts people into the family before they have a chance to escape." "I don't want to escape." Adrian reached for her hand. "Good. Because you're stuck with us now." They drove through the night, the city lights growing brighter as they approached Manhattan. Lena felt something settle in her chest, a sense of belonging she hadn't expected to find. This messy, complicated thing they were building together was becoming real. And for the first time in longer than she could remember, Lena wasn't waiting for her life to start. She was living it. 3 months later, Lena stood in Adrian's penthouse kitchen making coffee and realized she couldn't remember the last time she'd slept at her own apartment. It had happened gradually: an overnight bag that never left, then a drawer in his dresser, then half his closet somehow becoming hers. She still paid rent on the studio in Washington Heights, still went back once a week to check on things and water the plants she'd bought in a fit of optimism. But this place, this cold, expensive penthouse she'd once found so intimidating, had become something else entirely. It had become home. "You're thinking very loudly over there," Adrian said, appearing in the doorway wearing sweatpants and an old NYU shirt she was pretty sure used to be hers. "I'm thinking I need to either sublet my apartment or admit I've moved in with you." "You've definitely moved in with me. We should probably talk about that." "We probably should." He crossed to the coffee maker and poured himself a cup. "Are you having second thoughts?" "No, just noticing that we skipped a bunch of steps." "What steps?" "The ones where we date for a year, then maybe move in together, then see where things go." "We did date for like 3 very intense months." "That's not a year." "Time is relative." He leaned against the counter, studying her. "Does it bother you that we moved fast?" Lena thought about it. No, but sometimes I wonder if we're being reckless. We're definitely being reckless, but I'm okay with that if you are. I am. Mostly. It's just my lease is up next month and I need to decide whether to renew. Don't renew. Adrian, I'm serious. You're here every night anyway. You have more stuff here than at your place, and He paused. I like having you here. It makes this place feel less empty. It's still pretty empty. We really need to do something about the decor. Then let's do something about it this weekend. We'll go shopping, pick out furniture together, make this place feel like it belongs to both of us. It was a bigger statement than just furniture shopping. They both knew it. Okay, Lena said, let's do it. Work had settled into a new normal. The gossip had mostly died down, replaced by other office drama. Lena reported to Michael, who turned out to be an excellent boss, organized, fair, and genuinely invested in her professional development. She still handled much of Adrian's scheduling and administrative work, but the buffer of Michael's oversight satisfied HR's requirements and eliminated most of the optics concerns. There were still moments, though, comments from people who didn't know better, assumptions about her competence, the occasional pointed look when she and Adrian were in the same room, but she'd learned to navigate it, had developed a thick skin she hadn't known she was capable of growing. On a Tuesday in early April, Michael called her into his office. Got something I want to run by you, he said. We're creating a new position, Director of Executive Operations. It would oversee all administrative functions across the C-suite, implement new systems, manage a small team. That sounds like a big job. It is, and I think you'd be perfect for it. Lena blinked. What? You've been doing half these functions informally for years. This would formalize it, give you real authority, and significantly increase your salary. Michael, I can't. People will think what they want regardless. But the senior team voted unanimously to create this position and offer it to you, including David, who you know is a hard sell. Adrian voted? He recused himself from the conversation. Didn't want anyone claiming favoritism. Michael leaned forward. Lena, you've earned this. You're good at what you do, and we need someone with your skills in this role. The fact that you're dating Adrian is irrelevant to your qualifications. Can I think about it? Take a week, but seriously consider it. You deserve this opportunity. That evening, Lena told Adrian about the offer while they were attempting to cook dinner together. She was chopping vegetables while he wrestled with a recipe that seemed way more complicated than it needed to be. A director position, Adrian said, that's huge. It feels too fast. Why? Because 6 months ago I was an assistant, and now I'm being offered a director role while dating the CEO. That looks suspicious. Or it looks like someone recognizing your talent and creating a position that plays to your strengths. Adrian, be honest with me. Did you have anything to do with this? He set down the recipe and turned to face her fully. I suggested the company needed better coordination of executive operations. That was the extent of my involvement. Michael developed the actual position description, and the senior team decided you were the best candidate. I didn't vote, didn't advocate for you specifically, and made it very clear that my personal relationship couldn't factor into the decision. But it does factor in. People will assume regardless of what you do. You could take the job or turn it down, stay in your current role, or quit entirely, and people would still have opinions. He moved closer. The question isn't what other people think, it's what you want. I want to be good at my job on my own merit. You are good at your job. This offer proves it. Lena stared at the vegetables she'd been chopping. What if I fail? Then you fail, and we figure out what's next. But Lena, you're not going to fail. You're one of the most competent people I've ever worked with. You're biased. I'm honest. There's a difference. She thought about it for the rest of the week. Talked to Rachel, who told her to take the job. Talked to Jennifer from marketing, who said the same thing. Even talked to David, who surprisingly gave her his full support. Look, David said during their conversation, I was wrong about you. I made assumptions based on optics rather than evidence. But I've watched you work for 3 years, and I know quality when I see it. You'd be excellent in this role. On Friday, Lena accepted the position. The announcement went out Monday morning, and the reactions were mixed. Most people were congratulatory, some were skeptical. A few were outright hostile. But Lena had learned something over the past few months. She couldn't control what other people thought. She could only control her own actions, and she was damn well going to prove she deserved this job. Her first major project as Director of Executive Operations was implementing a new scheduling system across all C-suite offices. It was tedious, complicated work that required getting buy-in from executives who hated change. But Lena approached it methodically, addressing concerns, finding solutions, and slowly winning people over. 3 weeks into the new role, she was working late when Adrian appeared in her office doorway. She had an actual office now, with a door and a window and enough space for a real desk. "It's 8 o'clock," he said. "I know, I just need to finish this analysis." "Lena, you've been here since 7 this morning. So have you." "That's different." "Why?" "Because you're the CEO, and I'm just—" She stopped herself. "Just what?" "Nothing. Forget it." Adrian came in and closed the door. "Talk to me. I'm trying to prove myself, to show everyone that I earned this position." "By working yourself into the ground?" "By being undeniably good at my job." "You're already undeniably good at your job. You don't have anything to prove." "Yes, I do. Every single day I have to prove that I'm here because I'm competent, not because I'm sleeping with you." The words hung between them, harsher than she'd intended. "Is that what you think?" Adrian asked quietly. "That people see you as just my girlfriend?" "Some people do." "Then those people are idiots." "Maybe, but they're still people I have to work with." Adrian sat down across from her. "I get it. I understand why you feel like you need to prove yourself. But Lena, you're going to burn out if you keep pushing this hard." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're exhausted. When's the last time you took a day off?" "I don't know. A few weeks ago?" "Try 2 months. You haven't taken a single day off since you started this position." "Because I need to, prove yourself." "I know. But martyring yourself doesn't actually prove anything except that you don't trust your own competence." That hit harder than it should have. Lena looked away, feeling her eyes burn. "Hey," Adrian said softly. "I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm trying to help. I know, I don't know how to do this. How to be good at my job and your girlfriend and not have those things constantly in conflict. They don't have to be in conflict. But they are. Every decision I make gets scrutinized through the lens of our relationship. Every success gets attributed to you instead of me. Not by the people who matter. How do you know who matters?" Adrian was quiet for a moment. "You're right. I don't. And I can't fix this for you. But I can tell you that you're one of the smartest, most capable people I've ever worked with. And the fact that we're together doesn't change that." "I'm scared," Lena admitted. "I'm scared that I'll fail and prove everyone right. That I only got this job because of you. And I'm scared that you're going to work yourself sick trying to prove a point that doesn't need proving." He reached across the desk and took her hand. "Can we make a deal?" "What kind of deal?" "You take tomorrow off, completely off. No emails, no work calls, nothing." "Adrian, I have meetings. I'll cancel them. And in exchange, I'll take the day off too. We'll do something completely non-work related. Deal?" "That's not a fair exchange. You're the CEO, which means I can decide when to take a day off. Deal?" Lena looked at their joined hands, then at the piles of work on her desk, then back at Adrian's face. "Deal," she said finally. They spent the next day at the Museum of Natural History because Lena had mentioned once that she hadn't been since college. They wandered through the dinosaur exhibits, Adrian taking photos to send to Parker, and the planetarium show, and the mineral collection where they got into a debate about whether rocks could be beautiful or just interesting. "They're beautiful," Lena insisted. "They're rocks. Beautiful rocks. You're impossible. You like impossible." "I do. God help me, I really do." They had lunch in the museum cafeteria, which served overpriced sandwiches that somehow tasted perfect. As they ate, Lena felt the tension she'd been carrying for weeks slowly dissolve. "Thank you for making me do this," she said. "You're welcome. We should do it more often. Take random days off. Take time to be just us, not CEO and director. Just Adrian and Lena." "I'd like that." On the walk back through Central Park, Adrian stopped suddenly. "What?" Lena asked. "Nothing, just, this is nice, being here with you. Not thinking about work or responsibilities or what anyone else thinks. It is nice. I want more of this. Days off, days, nights, weekends, a whole life that isn't just work." He turned to face her. "Lena, I've been thinking about something." "That sounds ominous." It's not ominous. It's, I don't know, big maybe. Adrian, what are you talking about? He took a breath. I want you to move in with me. Officially. Not just your stuff gradually taking over my closet, but actually move in. Make decisions about the apartment together. Build a life together. I already basically live with you. I know, but I want it to be official. I want you to feel like it's your home, not just my place you're staying at. Okay? Okay? Yeah, okay. Let's do it. Adrian's face split into a grin. Really? Really? I'll give notice on my apartment this week. He kissed her right there in the middle of Central Park, and Lena didn't care who saw. The next few weeks were a blur of moving boxes and furniture shopping, and slowly transforming Adrian's cold penthouse into something that felt like theirs. Lena added color, throw pillows and blankets and art that wasn't sterile. Adrian bought a bookshelf big enough for her entire collection and insisted on assembling it himself despite the instructions being in Swedish and mostly incomprehensible. I think this piece goes here, he said, holding up something that definitely didn't go there. That's the back panel. Are you sure? Yes, give it to me. They assembled furniture and hung pictures and argued about whether the couch should face the windows or the TV. It was domestic and ordinary and somehow more intimate than anything they'd done yet. In May, Adrian's company held its annual charity gala. It was the first major event Lena would attend as both an executive and Adrian's official girlfriend, and she was terrified. What if I say something wrong? She asked while getting ready. You won't. What if people judge me? They will, and it won't matter. Adrian, Lena, look at me. She did. He was in his tuxedo already, looking unfairly handsome. You belong there. As my girlfriend, yes, but also as a director of the company. You've earned your place at that event. I know, logically I know that. But it's still scary. Then we'll be scared together. The gala was held at the same Plaza Hotel where Adrian had been on New Year's Eve. As they walked in, Lena thought about that night, how lonely she'd been, how impossible this all seemed, and now here she was, walking in on Adrian's arm, wearing a dress that probably cost more than her old monthly rent. The evening was exactly as overwhelming as she'd feared. People introduced themselves and immediately forgot her name. Conversations were superficial and exhausting, but Adrian stayed close, his hand at the small of her back, his presence a steady reminder that she wasn't alone. Around 10, they escaped to a balcony for air. The city sprawled below them, and Lena breathed in the cool night breeze. Having fun? Adrian asked. Define fun. Fair point, these events are terrible. Then why do we have them? Because they raise money for causes that matter. Tonight alone, we've probably pulled in $500,000 for literacy programs. That does make it worth it. They stood in comfortable silence for a while. I've been thinking, Adrian said. About? About how much has changed since New Year's Eve. How different my life looks now. Better or worse? So much better, you have no idea. I think I have some idea. He turned to face her, his expression serious. Lena, I love you. She blinked. They'd said it before, of course, whispered it during quiet moments, said it casually in passing, but this felt different, more deliberate. I love you too, she said. I know, but I needed to say it, needed you to know that this, us, is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Even with all the complications? Especially with all the complications. Because you're worth every difficult conversation and every judgmental look and every moment of doubt. He took her hands. You make my life make sense. Lena felt tears prick her eyes. You make mine make sense too. Yeah? Yeah. They went back inside eventually, back to the noise and the expectations. But something had shifted. Lena felt steadier, more certain. This was her life now, messy and public and sometimes uncomfortable, but hers. Summer arrived, and with it came a proposal from the board to expand the company internationally. It would mean more travel for Adrian, longer hours, increased stress. Lena watched him wrestle with the decision, knowing he wanted to do it, but also knowing what it would cost. Take the expansion, she said one night while they were reviewing the proposal. What? The international expansion. You should do it. It would mean being gone 2 weeks a month for the first 6 months. I know. Lena, I don't want to be away from you that much. I don't want you to be away either. But this is important to you. The company's important to you. You're more important. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. Adrian set down the papers. How would you feel about coming with me? Some of the trips, at least. We could combine business with actually seeing the world. Adrian, I have my own job, which you could do remotely part of the time. Michael's been pushing for more flexible work arrangements anyway. You've talked to Michael about this? Just hypothetically, but he thought it could work. Lena thought about it. International travel, new cities, building a life that included both their careers and their relationship. Okay, she said. Okay? Yeah, let's do it. Over the next few months, they traveled to London, Berlin, Tokyo, and Singapore. Lena worked remotely when she could, took vacation days when she couldn't. They stayed in nice hotels and ate at restaurants they'd never find at home, and slowly built a shared history that existed beyond New York. In Tokyo, Adrian took her to a tiny ramen shop his grandmother had loved. In Berlin, they got lost trying to find their hotel and ended up at a bar where neither of them spoke the language but somehow had the best night. In Singapore, they watched the sunrise from their hotel room, and Adrian said he could get used to this, the traveling, the adventure, the building of a life together. I already am used to it, Lena said. Good, because I'm not planning to stop. They returned to New York in September to news that Adrian's brother was getting married. The wedding was planned for November, and Mark asked Adrian to be his best man. You should give a speech, Lena said while they were getting ready for the engagement party. I'm terrible at speeches. You give speeches all the time. Work speeches. This is different. How? Because I actually care whether people think I'm sincere. Then be sincere. Talk about what you've learned from watching Mark and Jennifer together. What have I learned? That love is worth the complications. That building a life with someone takes work, but it's worth it. That... She stopped herself. What? Nothing. Lena. That watching them makes you think about what you want for your own future. Adrian was quiet for a moment. It does. Yeah? Yeah. The engagement party was at Helen and Robert's house, the backyard decorated with string lights and flowers. Mark and Jennifer looked happy in that way that made Lena's chest feel warm. Adrian gave an impromptu toast that was funny and touching and made his brother tear up. After the party, as they were driving home, Adrian was unusually quiet. You okay? Lena asked. I've been thinking. About? About us. About where we're going. And where are we going? I don't know. Where do you want to go? Lena looked at him. Forward. Wherever that leads. That's not very specific. Do we need to be specific? Maybe. I've never been good at not having a plan. Then make a plan. I'm trying to, but I need to know what you want first. I want this, us, whatever form that takes. Adrian pulled the car over suddenly, parking on a quiet street in their neighborhood. What are you doing? Lena asked. I need to ask you something and I can't do it while driving. Okay? He turned to face her. Do you see yourself married? Eventually, not necessarily now, but someday. Lena's heart started racing. Are you asking if I believe in marriage or if I want to marry you specifically? Both, either. I don't know. I'm doing this badly. Adrian, I love you. I love living with you and traveling with you and building this weird, complicated life together. And I keep thinking about Mark's wedding and about what we want for our future. And He stopped, took a breath. I want to marry you. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but someday. And I need to know if that's something you want too. Lena felt tears streaming down her face. Yes? Yes? Yes, that's something I want, someday. When we're ready. Adrian looked relieved and terrified and happy all at once. Okay, good, because I was really worried you'd say no. Why would I say no? Because we've only been together 9 months, because we're still figuring things out, because... She kissed him, cutting off his spiral of anxiety. When she pulled back, he was smiling. We're really doing this, he said. Eventually. No timeline, no pressure. No pressure, he agreed. But 3 weeks later, Adrian proposed. It wasn't planned or perfect. They were at the diner in Westchester, the one he'd taken her to on their first official date. They'd just finished eating when Adrian reached across the table and took her hand. I know I said no timeline and no pressure, he began. Adrian, but I was wrong. I don't want to wait. I don't want someday. I want now. I want to marry you and build a life together and stop pretending this isn't exactly what we both want. Are you proposing right now? Yes. But I don't have a ring because I'm an idiot who didn't plan this. So I'm proposing with... He looked around desperately, then grabbed a sugar packet from the dispenser on the table. With this sugar packet, which is terrible and not romantic at all, but yes. What? Yes. I'll marry you. Really? Really? But you're buying me an actual ring. Obviously. The best ring, whatever you want. Donna the waitress appeared with the check and saw them holding hands across the table, both of them crying and laughing. Finally, she said, I was wondering when you'd figure it out. They got married in March, almost exactly a year after Adrian had first told Lena he loved her. It was a small ceremony at a vineyard upstate, just family and close friends. Helen cried through the entire thing. Parker was the ring bearer and took his job very seriously. Natalie gave a speech about how she'd never seen her brother this happy. Michael gave a speech about how they'd better not make work awkward. Lena wore a simple dress and carried wildflowers. Adrian wore a suit and looked at her like she was the only person in the world. When they exchanged vows, Adrian said, I promise to love you through every complication, to support your dreams even when they scare me, to be your partner in every sense of the word. Lena said, I promise to challenge you when you need it, to remind you that there's more to life than work, to build a home with you wherever we are. They kissed while everyone cheered, and Lena thought about the woman she'd been a year ago, lonely in her tiny apartment, convinced her life was too small to matter. That woman would never have believed this moment was possible. But it was. All of it was. At the reception, Rachel cornered Lena during a quiet moment. I'm proud of you, Rachel said. For what? For taking the risk, for being brave enough to let someone in. I was terrified the whole time. But you did it anyway. That's what counts. Later, while they were dancing, Adrian pulled her close. What are you thinking about? He asked. About how much has changed, how different my life is now. Better or worse? So much better, even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts, because they meant something. I love you, Adrian said. I love you too. They danced while the sun set over the vineyard and their families celebrated around them. Lena looked at Adrian, her husband now somehow, and felt a certainty she'd never experienced before. This was her life. This messy, complicated, beautiful life she'd built from nothing, and it was exactly what she wanted. 6 months after the wedding, the company announced a new initiative, the Vance Foundation, dedicated to literacy programs and educational access. Adrian would step back from day-to-day operations to run it, and they were looking for someone to manage the foundation's launch. You should apply, Adrian said to Lena one evening. For what? To run the foundation with me. Adrian, no. People would definitely think that we're partnering on something meaningful. Because we are. Lena, you're good at this. At organizing, at seeing the big picture, at making things happen. And I want to build this with you. She thought about it for a week. Talked to Michael, who encouraged her to take the opportunity. Talked to the board, who unanimously supported the idea. And finally, she said yes. They spent the next year building the foundation from the ground up. It was hard work, long hours, difficult decisions, constant problem solving. But they did it together, and somehow that made it manageable. The foundation's first major program launched the following spring, providing books and reading resources to underserved schools across the city. At the launch event, Lena stood at the podium and looked out at the crowd. Donors, educators, community members, all there because they believed in what she and Adrian had built. A year ago, I would never have imagined standing here, she said. I spent most of my life feeling invisible, convinced that people like me didn't get to create change. But I was wrong. We all have the power to make a difference. We just have to be brave enough to try. Adrian was in the front row, smiling at her like she'd hung the moon. After the event, they drove home through Manhattan, the city lights reflecting off the windows. That was amazing, Adrian said. It was terrifying. But you did it. We did it. Fair correction. They pulled into the garage of their building. They'd sold Adrian's penthouse and bought something smaller, warmer, more suited to the life they wanted to build. It had room for Lena's books and Adrian's attempt at learning piano and the art they'd collected from their travels. It had room for them. That night, as they got ready for bed, Lena caught sight of herself in the mirror. She looked different than she had 2 years ago. Older, yes, but also more solid somehow. More present. "What are you thinking?" Adrian asked, coming up behind her. "That I like who I've become. I like who you've become too, though I also liked who you were before." That woman was scared of everything. And brave enough to take chances anyway. Lena turned to face him. "Do you ever regret it? How complicated things got?" "Never. Not for a second. Even when people were judging us? Especially then, because it meant we were choosing each other despite everything. I'm glad we did. Choose each other. Me too." They went to bed and lay in the dark, Adrian's arm around her, Lena's head on his chest. Outside, the city hummed with its endless energy. But in here, in this space they'd created together, everything was quiet. "Adrian," Lena said. "Hmm? Thank you." "For what?" "For showing up, for staying, for making me believe I was worth all the complications. Lena, you were always worth it. You just needed someone to see you clearly. You saw me." "I did, and I'm never looking away." Lena closed her eyes, feeling safe and loved and home. 2 years ago, she'd been alone on New Year's Eve, watching romance movies and wondering if her life would ever really start. She'd been invisible, or so she'd thought. Just another person in a city of millions, taking up as little space as possible. But she'd been wrong about so many things. She wasn't invisible. She'd never been invisible. She'd just been waiting for courage, for opportunity, for someone to see past her careful camouflage to the person underneath. And when Adrian had finally looked, really looked, everything had changed. Their story wasn't perfect. There had been complications and conflicts and moments when it would have been easier to walk away. But they hadn't walked away. They'd stayed and fought and built something real from the mess. And that, Lena had learned, was what love actually looked like. Not the polished version in movies or books, but the messy, complicated, everyday version where you chose someone over and over again despite the difficulties, where you saw each other clearly and loved each other anyway, where you built a home not out of perfection, but out of honest effort and shared dreams, and the simple decision to keep showing up. That was the story Lena had been waiting for all along. Not a fairy tale, but something better, something real. P.A. And as she fell asleep in Adrian's arms, in the home they'd created together, she knew with absolute certainty that this was exactly where she was meant to be. Not invisible, not waiting, just living.